Good morning. We are live and alive. It is April 20th. Wait a second. April 20th? It's fucking 420, boys. I just realized. It is 420, 2025. April 20th, 2025, 9:45 a.m. And we are, of course, streaming some more Fate Grand Order, even though we're not going to be doing too much story today. The opening soundtrack, by the way, for this stream was the Tezcatlipoca Final Battle soundtrack. Oh my god, it's so good. I love the strings in it. The final showdown. So fucking good. But yeah, this is going to be my final stream regarding Lostbelt 7, or like my final Lostbelt 7 dedicated stream, essentially, because we finished the story. This stream, we're just going to be looking back on it, reviewing it, talking about my thoughts, and I'm not making like a big review by any means or anything like that. I don't want to, that's why I kind of don't want to call it a review. It's kind of like just my final thoughts on it and what my initial impressions were finishing the story. And then we are, of course, going to be watching the Dramalogue later this stream, because one did happen. It's kind of nice not doing the story, or doing the story 2 years later than JP, because we have a bunch of like LB7 related content that like the JP players had to wait for. And so like, even though I'm getting to the story 2 years late, over 2 years late, because it took me a while to finish the story, of course, I'm actually getting to experience the Dramalogues and the live concert right after the finishing the story, which like JP players obviously had to wait a while for those to come out. But yeah, we're going to be experiencing the live OST concert later this stream, which I'm excited for. And then also we are going to be experiencing the Dramalogues, which for those who don't know, Dramalogues are basically a live performance that the voice actors do of the scenes. And so FGO's story is of course not voice acted. The game would be insanely large data-wise if it did, just because of all the voice files alone. But the voice file, or the voice actors came together and voice act some of the highlights from the Lostbelt. We did that with Lostbelt 6 as well, and so we're of course going to be doing that with Lostbelt 7 too. And then at the end of the stream, we'll be watching. I've got a playlist of videos we're going to watch as well. Yeah, this is the final Lostbelt stream in general as well, huh? Because even though the Cosmos and the Lostbelt storyline is still going on, that was the final Lostbelt. Yeah, no more Lostbelts. Sag, that was it. It's over. The journey is over. Well, not really, but that was the last Lostbelt. Incredible. So we kind of know what this main menu is now too, huh? Because that's supposed to be spoiler. You shouldn't be in this stream if you don't want spoilers. Just a heads up, I'm gonna be talking about everything we've experienced so far, so spoiler warning. But this main menu that we got after Tunguska, that we had no idea what the fuck it was, now we basically have confirmation that is Caldeus, huh? That is the that's what it looks like in its current state. The last time we saw it was after in the Lostbelt Cosmos and the Lostbelt prologue, before we even went to Lostbelt 1. Anastasia froze it, right? The Caldeus is the future simulated Earth, right? And that's it right there. That's what it looks like in its current state. I don't know what that red purplish stuff is radiating off of it, but we'll find out in 3 years, I guess. Because we got the Ordeal Call storyline to deal with now. Oh boy. Indeed, it is typing time. Happy Easter. Is it Easter Sunday? I didn't even know that. Easter Sunday is on 420. Someone needs to make some art of the Easter Bunny smoking a blunt. I need that in my life. Anyways, let's crack a cold one and get into the story. My thoughts on the story, not the story itself, because that shit's over. I also, before we get into anything, I wanted to point out, I got this, I got a bunch of CEs here. I'm gonna collect them. And we'll go over them real quick. Chaldea Fighter. I've just not redeemed these. I didn't even know what they were for. A burly man and a girl with a double bun hairstyle face each other with a machine between the two. A fierce battle has been unfolding for a while on screen. Both players' HP gauges are razor thin. The burly man executes a powerful move, but the girl with double buns is calm. She precisely taps the buttons frame by frame to flawlessly block the man's attacks, and then the next thing he knows, left, right, P plus K. Her fingers input a perfect command and KO. The game's called. The girl raises her fist and lets out a cry of victory. Poor Hercules. Martha is a top tier gamer. Opera in arcade. What's up, my homies? A genius who loves music also demonstrates impressive talent in music games. Delicate fingers strike the keyboard without hesitation. Was this the arcade collab? Is that, oh, okay, I kind of realized why it's all gamey or arcade themed, okay. The lone spectator quietly listens to his unending performance while in the background, intense music set to drown out the beautiful melody is about to begin. Cute. And then, oh my god, my waifus. Salter and Jalter. Run, Alter, run. The sound of engines starting echoes in everyone's ears. The seats and the steering wheels are tools of entertainment, both designed to be simple and safe. However, you're too stiff, charred woman. At this rate, you're going to pull the wheel right off. Shut your mouth. Don't patronize me. I'm gripping the wheel fine, okay? Even if it's a game, the two do not cut corners. Whether it's the King of Knights who commands riding skills, or the Dragon Witch who desperately grips the wheel because she's a novice, they fight to win. The race to separate the winner from the loser is close at hand. Can you give me that one? It was free, Moe. You didn't get it? What? And then, of course, we have the Man at Chaldea. I think there was one more arcade one that I already had redeemed that I haven't looked at yet. Oh yeah, it was this one. Aww, look at Da Vinci. Fo! Why is Fo so small there? What the hell? Fo's like a parrot size. Fo, the crane's hand grasps and lifts a plushie. The girl behind the glass window's face is grim as she watches intently. Another girl and creature watch with bated breath from the side. Heart racing, suspenseful tension fills the air. Something that could only be experienced in an arcade has been condensed into a single moment. What will the fate of this plushie be? Writer Da Vinci before she even came to mobile? Oh, wait, really? There was Writer Da Vinci in arcade before mobile? That's crazy. You mean on the one on the shoulder? Yeah, like look how small it is on MASH. I thought Fo was a little bigger than that. Actual squirrel. Free? Where? Moe, you had to log in. Have you not been logging in, Moe? What the? What's this man's login streak? Okay, that was the last one, yeah. Was there one other? Oh, there was this arcade one as well, which I love. You're gonna have to turn your heads, but that's a cool art piece as well. They had all the character artists draw all the different characters for this CE in particular. Look at all the different illustrators credited there. The stage is now set in the arcade, a new Holy Grail war played out by servants. On this stage, there is not only one Chaldea, there is not only one final master of humanity, and there is not only one kind of justice or ambition. That's the main poster of the game? Yeah, it's sick. Give me that shit. Also, I wanted to point out, some people might curse me out for this, but Tiamat is NP2. Beast Narrow is NP2. I got them both NP2. I topped up one more time and actually like didn't get shit. You can go, if anyone is in my Discord community, you can go to my my gacha section and see. I topped up one more time and was trying to get NP2 Draco. Didn't get shit from like the 167 quartz you get from a top up, right? But then I started spending my tickets that I had because I had like I think I had like 2 or 3 multis worth of tickets. Started spending the tickets, and I think I got Draco in 3 tickets, and then I kid you not, I did 1 multi of tickets on the Tiamat banner and got a second Tiamat from tickets on the Tiamat banner. So insanely lucky. And now even though I am at like no Saint Quartz, I think I'm at like 50 right now. The last time I checked. Yeah, we've got 55 Saint Quartz right now, and I guess like I think I have like 2 multis worth in Saint Quartz fragments, maybe? Or no, that's not. That's like 40 Saint Quartz and Saint Quartz fragments. So a multi and a half in Saint Quartz fragments. But yeah, we're not looking too hot on our funds right now. But now it's time to like fully be in save mode for summer. And I'm obviously spending money on the summer servants too, but gotta conserve whatever Saint Quartz I have for this summer now. Yeah, that's basically how my week has been going. I also spent all my mana prisms that I had from rolling on Tiamat and Draco, because I think I had like 4,000 mana prisms, and I got 4,000 something mana prisms, and I got just over 5,000. And since everyone knows, once you have over 5,000 mana prisms, if you want, you can spend them on 5 copies of CE shop CE, and so that's what I did. I got Man of Chaldea since we just finished LB7, and I noticed something in this CE art that I thought was really interesting, and it's why I wanted to pick it up. Of course, spoiler for LB7, but if you notice there, in the CE art, it's kind of hinting at something, or it's kind of visually showing something from his past, and I thought that was a really fucking cool detail. And I saw that, I clicked on the full image in the shop to see the CE, and as soon as I saw the shadow, I was like, oh, that's sick. I was like, dude, spoilers, what the hell? As soon as I saw the shadow, I was like, I want to pick that up. But I don't think I've read the detail yet, so let me read that. Humanity accumulates experience, knowledge, and stories to pave a path they walk from the past to the future, allowing them to mature. A trivial conversation may have taken place in an hour. An invaluable friendship may have formed in a day. Glorious growth may have occurred over the span of a year, but nobody can perfectly recall it all. Day, bit, fucking stupid. What remains is only the end result. The process is always forgotten. In the long run, or even objectively, there was not much difference between the boy and humans. At the end of the day, his memory was updated. It returned to nothingness. White. The boy retained only what he needed. 23 hours and 55 minutes, lost every day. And the shining event of the day is bleached away. But there is 5 whole minutes of the boy's conviction. The will to resist the update allowed him to retain memories that should never be lost or forgotten. And then, the boy grew up. He collected only information required in order to look like a certain human. It never crossed his mind whether it was genuine or not, because it's simple for one to wish, believe, and vow for something. The one and only grand order that makes him close to humankind is the idea that humans do good things. Cinema. Title drop. Amazing. Yeah, but I thought the art was really cool because of the shadow in particular in the background. This truly has been fake Grand Order. But yeah, that's a 60E.
Yup.
And where is it? Right here. And MLB that shit. I also have all the other, Let me select that shit, actually. I also have all the, or not all of them, but I have a couple other Cryptor CEs up here, right here, all level 35, so I can find them. You got the, what's his name? Why do I always forget this fucker's name? Barrel Gut. Pepe. Pepperoncino. My goat. Caddock. Ophelia. I love this one. I love the art. It's really pretty. I like the lighting on this one. It's a very pretty one. And then I don't have Wodimes or Yume Ren's or whatever her human name was. I don't even know if they're in the shop, are they? This shit's cursed. Yeah, they're not even in the shop yet. That's why I don't have them. We'll come around though. Get the faux cards? I do. I probably need the... I didn't think I needed them, but then I got a couple new servants and now I need them. There we go. We will upgrade. I think I already got my Tiamat, I'm pretty sure. I think my Beast Narrow has attack that needs to be upgraded though, but I got the HP. And then I've been leveling. I also got Talilock fully leveled up as well. Where's she at? Pretender. There she is. Our City-chan. Got her fully leveled up. I don't even know what she does though, I'm gonna be honest. Is she even is she single target, multi-target? What's the niche that, what's the role that she fulfills? I don't even know. And then... Where the fuck is the beast, bro? But she's fully foed or silver foed. Oh, I was also working on Johanna. I got from a Daily Disappointment back on when her Valentine's Day banner was up, and so I fully leveled her up. Figured she's a decent Castoria replacement or a Shufu replacement for when I actually get their bonds are fully done, because Castoria is at like 200k bond until she's fully bond 15, and so I've been trying to use her less and less, because once you have a bond 15 servant, they don't serve any purpose really in terms of bond. Like, you can't get any more value out of them for the bond part. Umu. Can I get an Umu in chat? All right, there we go. Quick multi-target, okay. No Umu in chat? What the hell? Water. Arjuna's not max level? I know, well, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really fuck with normal Arjuna that much. I love Arjuna Alter. Even in Samurai Remnant, I wasn't like a huge fan of his character. The free Saint Quartz though? Yeah, I'll eventually get it. That's the thing, Kezuke. Like, once I eventually get it though, like, they serve no purpose after that. There you go, Umu filled. Let's go. Monkey. Here's my, there, look at the bond, look how close she is to bond 15. Like, I'm gonna get that Saint Quartz, and then I'm gonna feel like bad whenever I use her from now on, because like, you don't get anything bond-wise out of her. It's just like wasted bond if she's in your party. And so I've been trying to hold out on it as much as I can. Yeah, I love my Castoria. That's why I have 7 of them. All right, are we ready to get into the freaking... Max is gonna get Bond 15 the day Summer Castoria drops cinema. Oh my God. Are we ready, chat, for the review? Let's go to the main. What music should we play while we do this? Because I am not going to be able to stand listening to that main menu music there. We don't have the LB7 music isn't in here yet, right? I assume not. It always comes late. I'd be surprised if it was in here. Yeah, I don't think it is. Nope. That sucks. I could go to the LB7 map. You're right. Why don't we do that? What do we call this? The cylinder. The cylinder. Oh. Amazing. Just saying, once you're out of servants to 1K foe, it gets depressing to buy them from the monthly event shops. Oh yeah. I don't disagree. Not looking forward to it. Time to farm? Yeah. Don't worry. All this will be done by the time summer rolls around, that's for sure. All right. Here's our background music. And let me pull up my review. Does this work actually? Oh, I think it does. There we go. Lostbelt 7, thoughts and review. I say right up here at the front of it that I don't want to write an essay for the review, and I ended up writing a fucking essay. I mean, it's not that bad. I think I've definitely done worse. It's not that bad. It's not gonna take too long. But I do say in like the first sentence, I'm like, right off the back, I just want to say this review could have probably spent a lot longer in the oven. I'm not looking to write an essay on my thoughts, pros and cons, and critique of Lostbelt 7. But because I love Nasu's writing so much, and with how much people enjoyed me doing a final thoughts and review of Lostbelt 6's story, I figured we'd do one for Lostbelt 7 too, since it is, of course, the final Lostbelt. Bro ended up writing Lostbelt 7.5. Nah, come on. It's not that bad. All right. I do think it's funny, though, how I said I didn't, like, I could have I wrote all of this morning just to give you guys an idea of, like, this was not cooked up very well. Like, I could have spent another week writing, like, a really good review, but which is why I think we should just remove the review from this, really. It's really just my random-ass thoughts. Lostbelt 7 final thoughts, final/initial thoughts, essentially, is like what this is. I could have made, I know I could have went a lot deeper into my thoughts in terms of a review, so this is really just like my initial feelings towards everything. Man is writing as if he's reviewing LB6 again. I know, it's actually not that deep. Like, I kind of realized that as I was writing this too. I was like, I could have written an essay on like every single character of LB6 and why their character arcs were so impactful on both the main story and like why all their ideals and everything came clashing together and how beautiful it all was. Like, Nasu cooked so hard on LB6 and it's just not there for LB7. LB7 has its moments and I still really enjoyed the story, but it's nowhere near like the lightning in a bottle that LB6 was, right? And I'll get into that as we go through this, but yeah. So while our journey isn't over yet, with the last Lostbelt removed, it is indicative of a major point in the overall story. I do plan on doing more story streams, of course, for the Ordeal Call chapters, but we will probably not have another big stream like this where I'm like reviewing the story until after the Ordeal story or the Ordeal Call storyline is concluded. because to be honest, I don't think we're gonna get any major questions answered until then, unfortunately. There is a reason I'm sure the JP community calls Ordeal Call Ordeal Stall. I have heard that before, so yeah. So without further ado, let's get into the overall impressions I had after finishing Fate Grand Order Lostbelt 7. First off, I'd like to mention that even going into Lostbelt 7, I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it as much as I did Lostbelt 6. Avalon Lefay was truly a lightning in a bottle moment for Nasu. Even people who typically hate on the FGO storyline admitted it was good. And for someone like myself that went into Lostbelt 6 with high expectations, it blew them all out of the water. I had heard from some members in my community who play on the JP server to temper my expectations for Lostbelt 7. As an NA player, knowing that the story wasn't going to get wrapped up here because of Ordeal Call coming afterwards, and also hearing from the same JP players that LB7 seemed rushed in some regards is what I was hearing, and of course being spoiled on some things, unfortunately, like Ort and seeing like memes of the dinos with guns, I was definitely going in with much lower expectations than I did with Lostbelt 6. The main thing I was expecting, however, was to get some answers to questions we had formed over the course of the Cosmos and the Lostbelt storyline answered. With this being the final Lostbelt, surely we would get some answers, right? So that's exactly why I made a list of questions in a notepad document that I asked in the first Lostbelt 7 stream, if y'all remember. I've saved those questions, and now we are going to go over them again and see if anything was answered, because like I said then, I'm mainly going to be judging Lostbelt 7 based on whether or not these burning questions we've had for years get answered. So, the first question I asked back then was, what was the reason for why Earth and proper human history were wiped clean or bleached? While we didn't get a direct answer to this, we did at least get more context. At the end of Lostbelt 7, it was revealed that Chaldeus, the simulated version of Earth 100 years in the future, is actually the planet that was wiped clean, and we've just been swapped places or swapped textures with it. When Anastasia attacked Chaldea in the Lostbelt prologue, she was actually freezing that simulated Earth to preserve it. And the reason Rasputin killed Da Vinci was because, with Holmes being a disciple of the foreign god himself that refused to ask the question of what the true motive of the foreign god was, Da Vinci would have been the only one left with the brains to figure it all out. So while the greater question for why all of this happened isn't clear yet, we do at least have more context, I guess. Is the music too loud, by the way, or is the music all right? The background music. I feel like it might be a little too loud to hear over me, or to hear me over it. I can turn it down if so. A bit? Okay, yeah, let me turn it down real quick. Whoops, that is not the right button. We need game options. Volume. Hit! Alright, that should be good. I feel like I was like screaming over the BGM because it was so fucking loud. Alright, that should be better. Alright, the second question I had was, what is going on with Marisbury? My question was mainly about whether or not he was still even relevant in the story at first, because we hadn't even mentioned his name in quite some time. However, with the context of how that Fiyuki Holy, like going into LB7, with the context of how that Fiyuki Holy Grail War went down, the first singularity, and his death all still being shrouded in mystery, I think myself and most fans figured there was still some greater, some greater connection he had with this entire thing. We of course find out that Marisbury had created Chaldeus for some grand order title drop, and after learning about this plan, Daybit took it upon himself to threaten Marisbury to shut it down. This is where it's revealed that the scene in which someone holds a gun to Marisbury in his office, which was, I believe, from the Babylonia prologue, right? In the Babylonia 0 episode, they show how Marisbury dies, and it was someone holds a gun to him, and then Marisbury says, if you're asking me to put Chaldeus or my life on the line, my life is obviously the easier question to get rid of, and he shoots himself in the fucking head. And we have not had any context to what that was all about since then. We find out in Lostbelt 7 that the person who held a gun to Marisbury was in fact Daybit. So this is where it's revealed in the scene that someone holds a gun to Marisbury in his office. Before Marisbury takes his own life with a gun in his drawer, it's revealed to be Daybit's doing. Daybit tells us he planned to only threaten to take Marisbury's life if he didn't shut down Chaldea and his plan. But Marisbury said something along the lines of, if you're asking me which to prioritize, the preservation of humanity or my own life, then the answer is clear to me, before taking his own life with his stashed gun. Daybit tells us Marisbury was the only one who could have shut down Chaldeus. So with this action by Marisbury taken, he had no choice but to go along with the plan of being a cryptor, but as soon as he saw an opportunity to stop Marisbury's plan, he took it. This involved him literally waking up Ort, and I like how I went back and did some research on Ort as well, and I think it said at one point, it might be in Fate Grand Order, or it might be in another Fate media, but there's something along the line says that Ort is sleeping, either in proper human history and in the Lostbelt. And the only thing that can wake up Ort is the planet itself screaming. And of course they mean like the soul of the planet itself, which it all goes back to Notes. If you've read Notes, if you haven't read Notes, please go read it. It's a really good read, and it's like the original vision of a lot of Nasu's concepts. And so we know that a lot of the types, all the different types of the different planets in our solar system came to Earth to wipe out humanity in this apocalyptic scenario that Nasu came up with. And the reason all those types come after Earth is because the planet, Earth's soul itself, screams out in the solar system, and all the types come to wipe out humanity. It's fucking crazy. And so there is something, it's from, or Angel Notes, it's from something that says the only thing that will wake up Ort is the planet itself screaming out, right? And so when Daybit realizes that his Lostbelt has Ort in it, he takes it upon himself to literally wake Ort up and have it destroy the planet itself. Daybit, of course, wastes no time explaining to us what Marisbury's plan was, but he assures us that if we are able to defeat him, Ort and Lostbelt 7, then our final villain will be Chaldeus itself. And so that's like the big reveal, right? Unfortunately, we don't get any information on what Marisbury's plan actually is. Daybit only makes sure to drill it into our brains that whatever Marisbury is planning, it will make the entirety of the universe view humanity as the most hated thing in all of existence. And so, yikes. But yeah, I'll get into more of that later on as we go through this, but these are just my initial thoughts to the questions I was answering going into LB7. The third question I had going into LB7 was what's going on with former director Olga Mary. Basically, same thing as the last question I had. It's clear her story isn't over yet, and I want answers. While we did get more context within Lostbelt 7, it's still incredibly unclear as to what's going on with her and why it happened, unfortunately. Who is the mysterious hooded figure that looks like Dr. Romani that is helping out the people in every Lostbelt? My guess at the time of asking this question going into LB7 was that it clearly wasn't Dr. Romani due to its personality, and was far more likely to be Gaetia somehow. Its hope for humans but disdain for us and Chaldea reminded me of Gaetia's personality. And he says towards the end of Lostbelt 7, or maybe it was in the Ordeal prologue, that with the 7th Lostbelt now gone from the Bleached Earth, he had planned to make us his new enemy, right? Because he says that towards the beginning of Lostbelt 7, that if you take care of the final Lostbelt, then and only then will I view you as my enemy. However, he mentions to Rasputin and Kire at the end that he only planned to make us enemies if we sided with Chaldeus. He never thought we might take a stand against Chaldea itself, since we are a part of that organization. So while the true identity of this person is still unknown for now, we at least get a look at its motivations, and like Daybit, seem to be against Chaldeus and most likely Marisbury's final plan, his grand order. My fifth question going into Lostbelt 7 was, who or what is the alien priestess? Guess what? We also didn't get that answered. Shrug, we literally got nothing. I think it appeared twice in this Lostbelt, just like the others. Once we initially met Tepu in his cave, and a second was shortly after the dinos were attacked by the Asalome. I also want to mention, I didn't write it down here, but I was thinking before this live stream and after I had written these, that I think it's possible that the alien priestess might be a type herself, or an archetype herself. And the reason I say that is because during Lostbelt 7, we realized the way Mictlān and Dino Arc operated as archetypes is they were recording the history of their civilization or what they were representatives of, right? And so Dino Arc was literally recording and stashing all the data and information of Mictlān in a way, right? And then Cuckoo was doing the same for the civilizations as well. She would go to all the different people's deaths, and she would not intervene in any way, but she would record their data and their final moments and make sure that it lived on in a certain way, right? Perhaps type Chaldeus? Yes, that's what I was getting at. And so that's what I think the Alien Priestess might be, because the Alien Priestess, in Lostbelt 1, it intervenes though, which is weird. I don't know what the reason is there. We'll get answers eventually, surely. But archetypes, as I understand them after Lostbelt 7, are not supposed to intervene at all. They just record, they watch, they record, and they stash the data of like what's happening. And that seems to be what the Alien Priestess is doing. So there might be some parallels there. I don't know. But I think my best guess, along with many others theorizing in the FGO community, is that while the name of this thing is Priestess, it somehow has some kind of greater connection with the alien god itself. It's possible it has a connection with Subject E, Olga Mary, after she got thrown into Chaldeus by Lev, and all the way back in the Fiuki Singularity, and somehow their souls switched bodies or some shit. I even saw a theory online, I think in the comment section of Otaku Daikun's Lostbelt 7 recap video, because I did listen to that after I finished, that there was a theory that someone commented that the Alien Priestess could somehow be Olga Mary's mother, and that would mean Marisbury Animosphere got it on with an alien, and this whole thing is some fucked up sci-fi version of Freaky Friday where the daughter and the mother are switching bodies. I don't believe that theory for a second personally, but I thought it was funny and wanted to bring it up nonetheless. All right, questions in regards to Lostbelt 7 itself that I had. Going into Lostbelt 7, these were things I had. C's been MIA since what, LB4? Wait, what has been MIA since LB4? The Priestess showed up in every Lostbelt, if I'm not mistaken, every single one. In LB6, it even had a conversation with Morgan. No, Alien Priestess has been in every single Lostbelt. I'm sure of that. It was in LB6, it had a conversation with Morgan at one point in LB6, which is very weird. LB5, I think it had a conversation with Wodime at one point in Olympus. Wodime was literally talking to it. And then in LB4, of course, it's at the end, and Pepe calls it Yuchan, right? Which is very weird. That's the only time we've heard someone call it a name. He calls it Yuchan, Pepe does. And so, like, they all know what this thing is, I think, the cryptors do. Which is weird. Anyways. Yeah, we've just not interacted with it in any way. And then in LB7, it shows up twice, I think. She also had a convo with the mecha gods in LB. Yes, as they were dying, their final thoughts. Yeah, it talked to them as they were dying. Weird. But David's servant was confirmed by Da Vinci back in Lostbelt 4 to be. Oh wait, I don't think I did the first one. So these were questions I had regarding Lostbelt 7 itself when going in. My first question was why is David the only cryptor who was on par with Wodime himself? Because that had been brought up so many times. Now we know bro has a connection with shit outside of the observable universe, and I don't think I mentioned it here, but I did realize after the fact, after finishing Lostbelt 7, that those crazy numbers that they keep saying as David like summons his cosmic familiars, right? They list some crazy distances, some insane numbers, like 13.6 billion light years and shit like that. At the time, you're reading this and you're like, well, what the fuck do those numbers mean? You're just saying shit. I don't know what does 13.6 billion light years mean? I don't know. If you Google those and actually look into them a bit, a lot of them are about the distance from us to the Big Bang, the origin of the universe, and also the span of the observable universe itself. Very interesting. And so we can assume from that information that David is contacting something outside of the observable universe, which is creepy. That's some cosmic horror shit, and I dig it a lot. It was very cool. But now we know he has some kind of connection with shit outside of the observable universe and can summon void monsters that grow in power, matching their opponent, which of course I knew definitely going into the fight, and that's why I brought 6 servants. 2, Daebit's servant was confirmed by Da Vinci back in Lostbelt 4 to be a grand servant when he came to visit Pepe. A master summoning a grand servant should be impossible as far as we know. So how did he do it? That was my question, right? Now we know that Tezcatlipoca wasn't a grand servant and Da Vinci just miscalculated, I guess. He is as I understand, he is a candidate to be a grand servant, but the idea that Daebit summoned a grand servant is false. That never happened. So now we know that Tezcatlipoca wasn't a grand servant and Da Vinci just miscalculated, I guess. She saw his servant's spirit origin and assumed it was a grand, but in reality it was a divine being inside of a human vessel or something like that. Tezcatlipoca's summoning is very weird. I don't really understand it even after rereading how it happened, which I personally think is a bullshit explanation. I get that Da Vinci, especially this Da Vinci in particular, because it's not real Da Vinci, right, can make mistakes, but claiming that Daebit had a grand servant and giving the community that information to cook with for literal years on end, only to confirm it later on that it was a false statement, is sort of bad writing, IMO. I talked about this in my Discord with a few of my viewers, and they did make sure to mention that we should also take anything Da Vinci says with a grain of salt because she's the theorizer of the group, right? And has even assumed that Yume Ren was a true ancestor in the past, which also wasn't true. But I just don't like that style of writing where we have to doubt what the main brains of the group is saying. My personal guess is that they had planned for Daebit to have an actual grand servant for the final showdown in Lostbelt 7, but then decided to go against it later on for whatever reason. There was also a funny theory I saw online regarding this that I wanted to share on how the JP community thought for years that Daebit had a grand berserker servant due to Da Vinci mentioning in Lostbelt 4 that Daebit had a grand servant, and then way back in the Lostbelt prologue, they had mentioned that each crypter was going to summon a specific servant class. 7 servant classes, 7 crypters, 7 Lostbelts, right? Kadok, they say this like word for word, I think, in the prologue, but Kadok was supposed to summon a caster, which he does with Anastasia. Ophelia is supposed to summon a saber, which she does. Akuda was supposed to summon a rider, but due to attempting to summon Shang Yu, the summoning went wrong and she ends up summoning Lan Ling due to their personal connection in life. Pepe summons an archer, which he does. Wodime summons a lancer, which he does. Beryl was supposed to summon an assassin due to his personality and nature, but because he was ordered by Wodime to destroy his Lostbelt, he instead summons Ruler Morgan, and then things happened. Everything goes to shit. Daebit, in the 7th Lostbelt, was supposed to summon a berserker, which is why the JP audience assumed he had summoned a grand berserker, but due to Tezcatlipoca answering the call and being a unique divine summon, Da Vinci just mistook him for a grand when he came with Daebit to Lostbelt 4, as I understand it. He is a grand, he's still grand assassin. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's the candidate. I don't think he ever assumed the stature of Grand Assassin, because I know my Discord did mention that Nasu had an interview where he talks about why Tezcatlipoca is summoned as an assassin for us, but in the Lostbelt he's a ruler, and he's an assassin for us because when Gramps, Old Man of the Mountain, King Hassan, when he gives up his title as Grand Assassin and leaves that spot vacant, Tezcatlipoca was one of the ones who could have assumed that, is how I understood it. There's no doubt about him being Grand Assassin. Is that stated in dialogue? Grand Samber is MIA last I checked. Valentine Steen mentions that Tezcatlipoca has Grand Class Presence Concealment. What the fuck? Okay, that's so dumb. That's insane. Tez just likes guns before his assassin-like carry. That's crazy. I'm not against him being a grand either. I'm just disappointed that none of this is in like the main story, if that makes sense. That was my critique, really. Anyways, now the funny theory that I wanted to point out after hearing all that there was a funny theory of that I read online of a small mass following of Ibuki haters that thought the devs specifically fucked over Muramasa and Tezcatlipoca due to Ibuki and Summer Ibuki releasing right before both of their debuts. They claim that Muramasa would have made much more sense as a Saber Buster Looper, but they changed his NP to Arts since they had just released Ibuki, who was a Saber Buster Looper, even though I know Buster Looping wasn't a thing back then, but it ended up being something that would have made sense, I guess, in their minds. And Tezcatlipoca, they claim Tezcatlipoca should have actually been the Grand Berserker that would have been an insane arts looper, but they changed his class to Assassin instead due to Summer Ibuki being an insane Buster, or an insane Berserker arts looper and releasing just before him. And I think I saw a lot of other people saying, like, Summer Ibuki took the Grand Berserker slot. Now I want to point out that I think all of that is cope, but I think it's funny nonetheless, and I wanted to share it. But yeah, that's all about that question, I think. Ibuki's hella overrated and she's in too many events. He just took the assassin seat because it was vacant. Tez qualifies as a grand in every class? What the fuck? How many servants do that? Surely Artoria can do that. Okay, that's it for that. My third question regarding Lostbelt 7 going into it was, while Wodime was said to be someone typos. While Wodime was said to be someone who could solve any situation, which is why he was made the leader of Team A, right? Daebit was said to be able to make the impossible possible. That was verbatim something that was said, I remember. Daebit was said to be someone who could make the impossible possible, which, whether purposely or not, is often how true magic is described in the Nasuverse, which I thought was notable. I think this ends up being, and then the answer to that, this is me answering it now. I think this ends up being just because Bro can literally summon void familiars from outside the observable universe and views everything on a cosmic scale, which is why they use that wording there. I had some other notes in there for my questions, but many of them were just stating facts, and this is like in regards to my notes going into LB7 that I wrote. I had some other notes in there for my questions, but many of them were just stating facts or important pieces of information I wanted to keep in mind about the conflict to come going into Lostbelt 7, so there's no need to rehash those here. Regardless, I think it's safe to say, while we got more context on many of the questions I had going into LB7, I wanted them answered, so we didn't really get any true resolutions to any of them. I was a little disappointed in that, but still enjoyed Lostbelt 7 overall. My final thoughts on the story and characters. All right, here's the real meat and bones of this shit. While Lostbelt 6 is still my overall favorite FGO story thus far, there are plenty of things that make it the lightning in a bottle that it was, so I don't want to compare. I feel like it's unfair to compare any Lostbelt to Lostbelt 7 or Lostbelt 6. So I don't really want to compare Lostbelt 7 to like Lostbelt 6 or any other FGO story to it too much. So in regards to all the other Lostbelts though, I think I'd place LB7 somewhere just under LB5 personally, especially if we're counting Atlantis and Olympus as one Lostbelt chapter. But I think I think it's fair to say LB7 and LB5 were both like somewhere on par with each other. I personally just like LB5 more. While I really enjoyed the fight with Ort, many things in Lostbelt 7 felt like a rehashing of the amazing story that was Singularity 7 Babylonia in Part 1. Everything from Tiamat awakening, which drastically shifts the tone of the story when it happens, and then trying to prevent Tiamat from reaching a certain point on the map that spells doom for us all, and that running parallel with Ort waking up, dramatically shifting the tone of the story, and then trying to prevent it from reaching a certain point on the map. We even have a Cuckoo final moment facing off against Ort that reminded me of Gilgamesh and his final Enuma Elish against Tiamat. So there's just a lot of parallels there between LB7 and which, to be fair, like Lostbelt 6 had a lot of parallels between it and Singularity 6, but I just wanted to point it out regardless. Ort also summoning itself as a Grand Foreigner while having shock value and being insane as hell in the moment. Looking back, I can't help but think it has been done a few different times in the story now. I suppose this might be the first time this method has been used against us, but this twist reminds me a bit too much of either the Guardian Spirits like Emiya and Castoria showing up at the end to save the day. Emiya in the original Fate Stay Night in Unlimited Blade Works shows up as a guardian at the end to shoot Gilgamesh as he's trying to pull in Shiro, right? And then Castoria showing up at the end in the battle against, what's his name? Broberon, was also like something similar to that. And then Gilgamesh in, to make another comparison with Singularity 7, Gilgamesh sacrificing his living human body to use as a catalyst to summon his servant self is like basically what Ort did there. I know I'm nitpicking here. I admit I'm nitpicking, but I just wanted to point out that there's so many things in LB7 I feel like I could point to that are just rehashes from earlier stories that are being used again for the most part. Other critiques I had for Lostbelt 7 include the fake out massacre. Oh my god, this one pissed me off so much. The fake out massacre of our Stormborder squad in part 1 of LB7. You can go back to that live stream in particular and see my reaction to it, and I was not happy. I've never been a fan of fake out deaths unless they are written with a very specific purpose in mind for the greater story at large. And when they're used for shock value and don't mean much, I absolutely despise fake out deaths. For me, having nearly our entire cast get massacred by a bunch of bullets, only for them to show up a node later and say, hey, we were just pretending to die, so the bad guys would leave us alone, is a pretty cheap blow, and personally I hold Nasu to a higher standard than that, and so I was pretty surprised and disappointed when that happened. That was probably my biggest critique of the entire Lostbelt. I was not a fan of that. And then the final big critiques I have, other than that, would probably just be the fact that we still don't have any answers to anything we had going into this Lostbelt for the most part. Just more context to help us theorize. I mean, David literally knew Marisbury's plan and was constantly beating around the bush as to what that plan was, even after he knew we'd oppose it. And then the story itself does feel a bit rushed in some areas in regards to character arcs and backstories in Lostbelt 7. There are plenty of characters that I loved, like Camazot, who I think deserved a lot more fleshing out and screen time. And then there were even moments where I think an added scene with a CG could have done certain characters with some really good... some really good justice in order to leave a lasting impression in my mind. The Dino's final fight scene, getting ramped up with the Dino's king, giving a great speech on par with Irwin's from Attack on Titan, only for Teppu to seemingly use his Mystic Eyes of Death Perception off screen, was particularly disappointing to me. Not to continue comparing this shit to other Lostbelt stories, but Lostbelt 6, I feel like in a way, it was so fucking good because that final arc, part 3, wraps up every character arc like almost perfectly. Like you get to see everyone's finale, and like a lot of the characters got like personalized CGs with like a really good like farewell. That's what I really liked about it. I guess they just wanted to remind the audience that Magecraft still exists. Imagine if Tiamat was a raid boss and all the servants we lose to her we have to fight against. Dude, that'd be crazy. Yeah. Well, I can see that annoying someone. My interpretation is Tez seeing through the illusion and is just going along with it as he has a way different perspective than what others may interpret. Wait, in terms of him being... Wait, what? In regards to what, Camazot? Sorry. Only Best Horse Redrabit got his off-screen. Yeah, oh my god, Redrabit's story was so good. His finale should have been in the story, absolutely, yeah. But I'm glad Nasu at least wrote it online for us to find, because god, I love Redrabit's finale. How did Teppu manage to hit Ort while it was in the air? I believe in the Nasu interview, it was mentioned that, what's his name? Who was the squawk? The pterodactyl flew him up there. No Spriggan CG in LB6, true. Fuck that guy, though. Vakub, yeah, Vakub flew him up there, if I'm not mistaken. Nasu said in an interview. He likes seeing mortals having an even playing field. Yeah, and I wrote... spoiler alert for my character reviews later on, but Camazot... Or, sorry, not Camazot. Tezcatlipoca was my only, like, 5 out of 5 character in terms of, like, his role that he played in the story. I think he was the only one that was, like, near perfectly written. And is it like, he's the only character I wouldn't critique too hard in terms of how he was written, but we'll get on with that. Spriggan is the fake Scott. Oh my God. I've never heard that comparison, but you are so right. Yaros, thank you so much for the Prime subscription. You get access to really cool emotes and ad-free viewing. Chat, did you guys know that if you link your Amazon Prime account with your Twitch account, you can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime subscription to your favorite streamer? Hopefully that's me, and you get access to cool emotes and ad-free viewing. Thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate it. All right. Where was I? So yeah, I think if we had some added CGs with certain characters to tie up their character arcs at the end, I think they would have had a much greater lasting impression in my mind. The Dino's final fight scene getting ramped up with the Dino's King giving a great speech on par with Erwin's from Attack on Titan. My soldiers scream! My soldiers fight! My soldiers rage! God, that's what was going through my mind when that shit was happening, but for him to give that speech and for us to not even get a CG, or we did get a CG of them attacking the thing, but I wanted a CG of like specifically Teppu like using his mystic eyes. I was really disappointed that that happened like on the map. It was still cool, don't get me wrong. The writing and like the moment was still cool. I just wish it would have had like a CG and maybe like a monologue of like a Teppu monologue with the CG, like explaining his thoughts as he's like literally risking his life for it to happen. I don't know. It would have had a longer lasting impression in my mind, I think. But so those were like my major critiques. Now I'm sorry to start it off with the critiques, but I wanted to get the critiques out of the way. The rest of it's gonna be like me kind of glazing the Lostbelt. So anyways, here we go. For some good things I can say about Lostbelt 7, I was particularly a big fan of the dinos. Definitely enjoyed them a lot more than I thought I would going into this story, because like I said, going into Lostbelt 7, I had seen the memes of like dinosaurs holding guns, and I was like, what the fuck is this story gonna be about? But their society essentially resembling that of a communist utopia where there are no borders, no class, no currency, immediately intrigued me. But if y'all remember, I also had the same thoughts and analysis on Lostbelt 5's Olympus. In Olympus, I also compared Olympus's society to a communist utopia in terms of it requiring three things: no borders, no class, no currency. And to get back to the rehashing critique I had earlier, I do think there were some similar things going on here with the dinos, particularly when Mash was trying to stop Teppu from joining the other dinos in death. He was confused as to why she was stopping her, and to be honest, I was as well. I'm sure I'm in the minority here of critiquing this scene specifically, but I had thought we had already crossed the idea of whose world is better. Like if this world is better and they have the perfect society, maybe they shouldn't be, maybe we shouldn't even be removing the Lostbelt. I thought that's kind of what Mash was going for in that moment. I'm not sure, but because she did say like, you guys are the perfect thing, you guys are what us humans should be striving for. I thought we had already crossed that bridge with Lostbelt 5. So with LB5 Olympus, and even more specifically with Ritsuka and Castoria's parallels in LB6 crossed at this point, to me it felt like we were beating a dead horse once we got that far into analyzing the Dino Society personally. But it was still nice. I just thought it was like, I was like, we had already crossed this bridge in the story, and it just felt weird for Mash to be like saying what she did when we had already gone through that in like Olympus already, if that makes sense. But the backstory and the divergent point in Lostbelt 7 was definitely fascinating to me. And again, I urge anyone who hasn't seen my playthrough to go back in the VOD, where we find out that the Maya and asteroid that hit the Earth was made up of a super fungus capable of evolving all life on Earth. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to mycology, so I went on a big tangent there when all this mushroom lore was being dumped on us. I definitely thought the history of Lostbelt 7 was very cool. The setup and foreshadowing of Cuckoo essentially being an archetyped Ort, I thought was brilliantly done. There were two things that made me start to realize this, and so like this is why I think the foreshadowing of Cuckoo being Ort was so good. Right after we meet Dino Arc and get explained to Da Vinci what that means, I'm not sure if it was Da Vinci but someone makes a comment about how we can view Cuckoo as something similar since she is connected to the Maya and Mictlān in a similar way. And then Right after Ort initially wakes up and Cuckoo flies in to help us fight, its boot up sequence, Tepu mentions something that makes Cuckoo realize what she really is, and then she flies off in embarrassment. After those two things happen, I was pretty sure I myself realized that Cuckoo was some kind of mixed archetype of both Mictlān and the Maya and Ort itself somehow, since the sun was later revealed to be Ort's heart and Cuckoo was the sun god herself, right? This is all information we got drip fed over time, and so Nasu was allowing the reader to kind of piece together what was happening there with Cuckoo. But it wasn't until she finally shows up in her final ascension that it's revealed Ort literally cannot be defeated unless Cuckoo is wiped out with him. Since the sun is also Ort's heart, and Ort will regenerate itself so long as even a single cell remains. I personally didn't see this coming, even though all the foreshadowing had happened there for it, but I put all the pieces together right then and there as it was revealed, and so it gets an A+ in storytelling for me. I thought the foreshadowing was brilliantly done. Nasu has always been an excellent writer when it comes to foreshadowing. That's one of the big reasons I love him so much. Other than that, some quick things I really liked about LB7. The map was fucking amazing. I've got it on screen right here. I mean, fucking look at this shit. What the hell? We have never had a Lostbelt map like this anywhere even close. The Lostbelt map is insane, very cool, and destroyed some people's phones, as I understand. But the map, the underground impossible tunnel world resembling a sci-fi space station cylinder, was and continues to be really cool to look at. The Ort battle itself, even being one of the few things I was spoiled on, I think that Ort raids were still really cool and well designed, essentially being a horizontal test of your account gameplay-wise, rather than a test of your vertical investment in teams and or units, was really cool to see. I hope we get more events and or endgame modes that do something similar, because it was a really cool idea that I thought was well executed. Maybe not perfectly, but good enough to leave a really nice impression on me. The 3D Ort boss models that changed several times, all culminating into our final battle where the Ort Grand Servant was summoned, was super cool. While I knew about the Ort boss fight and was unfortunately even spoiled on the fact that it would take our servants away after it killed them, I wasn't expecting its final form at all, and it shocked the hell out of me when that happened. The other big surprise that I enjoyed a lot this Lostbelt was Camazot and his reveal in being a beast. His backstory is both badass and tragic, so much so that it left me wanting more, and I was ultimately disappointed that we didn't get to see more from him by the end. Now for some quick character impressions I have after finishing Lostbelt 7. So these are all my character ratings, essentially. So Olga Mary gets a 3 out of 5 from me. She had some cool moments, and I'm glad we got some more characterization for her ultimately, but I didn't feel much towards her writing-wise at the end. I do really like the fact that she was a playable unit that was unsummable, can I say that word? Summonable, Jesus Christ. I kind of hope they do more story stuff like that in the future to make certain characters feel special. I do really like what they did with her as a unit, but in her final moments before helping us fire the Stormborder's Excalibur beam, I honestly didn't feel much. She had some funny and cute moments throughout the story, but they didn't dive deep enough into her character or who she actually was as Olga Mary, or how she ended up the way she is, to have me care about her all that much, ultimately leaving me with just wanting more answers than anything, like the rest of this Lostbelt. Tepu, 4 out of 5, my dino man. The only reason he's not a 5 out of 5 for me is that I wasn't a fan of how Nasu wrote his send-off. I expressed earlier why I thought him realizing this Lostbelt's version of civilization was flawed, even though some humans might view it as perfect, was a bit of a rehash of what we already experienced in LB5 Olympus, so I kind of look at it harsher than others might. But him taking out Ort's HP bars with his Mystic Eyes of Death Perception and asking Cuckoo with his dying breath to become Mictlaan's first and only myth was great. If he would have gotten a personal final CG or two at the end where he's using his Mystic Eyes and or talking with Cuckoo with his dying breath and his last words, I probably would have made him a 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved how curious this guy was in learning about us, as I always have been curious in learning about every Lostbelt we visit. He was definitely a breath of fresh air when it comes to Lostbelt characters. Possibly my favorite in terms of Lostbelt residents for sure. I really liked Tepu for sure. Cuckoo, great, 4.5 out of 5, nearly perfect. I think in regards to the foreshadowing of her being, and I just want to stress as well, these critiques here are of the writing and the role they play in the story. That's how I'm grading these. So I want people to know I'm not grading these characters on their art, what they do in battle necessarily. I'm critiquing them on the writing and their role in the story, and how much I like their role in the story, and if I felt like their character arcs were fulfilled, right? That's why Olga Mary gets like a 3 out of 5 for me, because I felt like there was so much more to say with her. And I'm sure we will get more in the future. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure we will get more in the future, but like, her final farewell where she's like, I felt like it was supposed to be a super emotional moment where she's like saying farewell to us on the storm border when she's charging Excalibur's beam, but like, it was badass, but like I didn't feel too much emotion just because like I'm not that attached to the character. I wasn't able to feel that much towards her. So that was like my critique mainly. I felt like we should have gotten a lot more out of Olga Mary in the story. But Cuckoo, I thought writing-wise and her role in the story was great, 4.5 out of 5. I think in regards to the foreshadowing of her being part of Ort and the representative of Mictlān and the land itself made her a very interesting character for me. Her dilemma of having to choose when or who to help, or who or when to help, was really... when she was really a part of like all sides in this war simultaneously, was a pretty interesting one to witness as a Lostbelt king. I do kind of wish we would have gotten more monologues from her in order to express her thoughts on the matter, but I assume Nasu didn't want to give too much away and didn't want to reveal that she was part of Ort too soon. But I feel like it might have been a 5 out of 5 for me if we got like more monologues and her feeling of like what was going on in the Lostbelt. But regardless, I think she was like nearly perfect. 4.5 out of 5 for me. David, oh boy, David, decent, 3 out of 5. I didn't dislike him per se, but I thought he could have been written a lot better. For someone who was supposedly on par with Wodime, he left a lot to be desired for me personally, and just like Lostbelt 7 as a whole, left a lot more questions for me than answers. His backstory was really cool. Don't get me wrong there, I loved his backstory. I really dig the cosmic horror vibes especially, but with how many of his actions were seemingly only explained by the fact he could only remember a bit of every day, hence the name David, which is so silly. I don't even hate that much, I just think it's silly. And even refusing to explain to us that Marisbury's plan was even after... He refused to explain Marisbury's plan to us even after he knew our final goal was the same as his, to stop Marisbury. Because he explains at the end of the story that, like, we were like, why did you want to go through with this plan? Why did you want to destroy the whole planet? And he's like, because that's the only way I could. He's like, you can make bonds with servants, and you can use servants and, like, get all these, like, powerful heroic spirits on your side. He's like, I can't do that. So I wanted to stop Marisbury with the only way I could. By summoning fucking Ort. Or like, not summoning, but waking up Ort. And so he reveals to us at the end that like our goals are aligned, but he still refuses to tell us Marisbury's plan, which I think is kind of bullshit. I guess now that I think about it, maybe did he just not remember the plan? Did he just, maybe because he can only remember a bit of every day? They never mention that specifically though, that's the thing. Cortez has to babysit a 10-year-old master. Did David just forget the plan? Is that it, maybe? I feel like that definitely should have been mentioned if that's the case, but what if bro actually just forgot Marisbury's plan? He just knows for sure he has to stop at Marisbury, but he has no idea what the fuck the plan is. Maybe that was the case. That would have made sense. But I don't remember if that was explicitly stated in the story. I'd have to go back. Olga wasn't a target that Excalibur would be effective against. That is something, yeah, that is something, I don't think I put that in my review, but thank you for pointing it out. Excalibur, at the beginning of the Lostbelt, if you guys remember, we fire the Excalibur beam at you, Olga Mary, and it doesn't do shit. The reason for that is because Excalibur itself is supposed to be a weapon designed as the collective will of humanity to take out a foreign invader, right? That's what it's supposed to do. It doesn't recognize Olga Mary as a foreign invader. Isn't that interesting? That's something to remember for the future for sure. Marisbury explaining the plan for 30 minutes. David remembers 5 minutes of it. Bro, that's my headcanon now, I guess. But yeah, I was very disappointed that he refused to explain Marisbury's plan even after he knew our final goal was the same as his. It all just left a sour taste in my mouth as a way to extend the story and keep us waiting for more answers that could have been given earlier, essentially. That's why I wasn't a huge fan of how that all went down. Tezcatlipoca, the only 5 out of 5 for me this Lostbelt. Tezcatlipoca was a 5 out of 5 character in terms of his role in the story and his characterization and what he fulfilled for me personally. As an antagonist and the role that he played in the story, I think he was probably the best, especially in comparison to the other Cryptor servants of the other Lostbelts. I mentioned this to my chat. I don't know where we put Morgan on this list. If we're comparing all the Cryptor servants, I don't know where we put Morgan, because Morgan is Ruler Morgan was summoned by Beryl, and then she ray-shifts the fucking memories of proper human history to Ash the Savior, who then becomes Morgan, the King of the Lostbelt. And so I don't know where we put Morgan on that list, per se, but if we exclude Morgan, I think Tezcatlipoca is my favorite for sure. Because, like, what else do we have? Anastasia was all right as the Lostbelt 1 servant. Lostbelt 2 was Sigurd, all right. Lostbelt 3 was, don't even remember his name, the Prince of Lanling, right? I think, was meh. Or I guess his, like, relationship with Yume Ren was all right. Lostbelt 4, Asvataman, he was cool. I mean, he was like, I don't know. I like the vibes he gave off, but yeah, story-wise, he was all right. Story-wise, he was all right. Lostbelt 5, Canis, I like a lot. Canis was great. Lostbelt 6, Morgan, I don't even, she's the Lostbelt, she takes the place of the king and the servant, so I don't know where I'd put Morgan on there. And then Lostbelt 7 is Tezcatlipoca. I think if we exclude Morgan, Tezcatlipoca is my favorite, even above Canis, even though I love Canis. I thought Tezcatlipoca was really, really fucking interesting, as an antagonist especially. That's why he's the GOAT. Plot reason David didn't explain so writers can expand the story. That's how I felt. That's why it left a sour taste in my mouth. It's unfair to compare anyone to Morgan on any topic. Yeah, that's true. That's why I feel like it's unfair to compare Lostbelt 6 in a way. I said that earlier in my review, but it feels unfair to compare Lostbelt 6 to any of the other Lostbelts just because of how fucking good that story is. But yeah, so where was I? In comparison to the other Cryptor servants of the other Lostbelt, Tezcatlipoca is probably my favorite. He's definitely now on my list of servants that I wasn't originally planning on pulling for, but after experiencing the story in-game, I do want to roll for him. Whoops. I hit a button. All right, unplugged my phone. All right, well, probably gonna cut all that out of the VOD, but I literally hit the cord for my my phone capture, and everything fucked up. I don't know what happened, but I think I'd have to end and restart stream in order to fix it. But I wasn't planning on doing any more FGO gameplay this stream anyway. I mainly just wanted to start off with that at the beginning of stream, and since we're gonna be just watching videos and talking about the LB7 and my thoughts for the rest of stream, we probably don't need it anyway, so it's probably fine. But I'm going to use the Tezcatlipoca fight for the background music now, so let's enjoy this as we continue to glaze Tezcatlipoca. All right. But where were we? All right. So when it comes to Tezcatlipoca, he's definitely, like I said, one of the servants that I wasn't originally planning on rolling for, but after experiencing his story in game, I definitely want to roll for him now. I thought him being a villainous ruler class servant was interesting, and his dedication / perspective on war, no matter who was doing it, gave a certain characterization for him I don't think I've seen from Nasu before. The final fight where he was the mediator and the participant between the final showdown of us and David was especially satisfying to see. And this is the music that played during the fight, the OST, the fight, the context of the fight, the visual of the fucking dark sun rising in the background, and his, when you get to the final break bar, he locks everyone's basic attacks, gives himself a full NP, and gives your servants all full NPs, and so it's literally just a noble phantasm battle he allows. So fucking sick. God, he was a 5 out of 5 character for me in terms of the role he filled in the story. I thought he was really good. Talailoc, unfortunately 3 out of 5 for me. I like her design a lot. I think that's why a lot of, like, I know Talailoc is a fan favorite, and I think her design might be why, but I didn't like her story that much. Or I don't dislike her. I just feel like we should have gotten a lot more. I feel indifferent against her, I guess. The idea of a city being a servant was not on my list of weird things to see in this Lostbelt going in. And while it explains, because like I say, was not on my list of weird things to see on this Lostbelt going in because I was spoiled on Ort and I was spoiled on dinos holding guns, right? And so a servant being a city was not on my list of weird things to see in this Lostbelt going in. And while it is explained in her character profile, I do want to point that out, that she was originally an elemental spirit inhabiting a lake, and then the city was built on top of that, so she's able to make use of the divine authorities that were worshipped on that city, hence why she's a pretender class, right? The idea still stuck me as just weird and not needed. That's not to say her final scene wasn't badass, though. I'll take more Gurren Lagann scenes like that all day long. I just think her overall character development and the role in the story was on the weaker side, especially compared to others. But that's my critique of Dramalogue. Camazotz! Oh boy! Camazotz was amazing. 4 out of 5. Nearly perfect. My only complaint I really have is his ending and how he went out. I think if he would have reappeared one more time before the end of this Lostbelt to have a rematch with Ort after we learned about his backstory and the creation of it, and the creation of Camazotz himself, I think that shit would have been cinema. I just think his character reveals, such as him being a beast and the whole history of his human civilization, come on super strong, only to get snuffed out pretty quick because we're dealing with bigger things like David and Ort, right? Who are bigger things to deal with at the moment. I just wish we would have gotten to, I wish I would have gotten to see him go out in a blaze of glory that we got to witness, instead of him being tragically forced to remember his past as he dies breaking Nitocris's fall, right? Tragic ending for a tragic character, I guess, but I really wish we would have gotten like a little more from him. It felt like he was cut way too short, especially after like all the crazy reveals we got for him. Speaking of Nitocris and the other altars, I kind of clump all the altars into this, but speaking of Nitocris and the other altars, I thought they were okay. I kept wondering during this whole Lostbelt about whether or not Camazotz specifically altered all those servants at specific spots in the Lostbelt to be able to combat Ort when it woke up again, but it's never really revealed in dialogue whether or not that was the case or whether that was supposed to happen, so I guess that's just kind of my headcanon for now. I didn't dislike any of the altar servants at all. Again, I think I just kind of feel indifferent towards them due to their roles in the story. I will say, though, it was incredibly mean. It was incredibly mean of Nasu to do to Erish fans what he did. Not being able to say goodbye to her again as she disappears in a similar way that she did in Babylonia is fucked up. At least y'all get Summer Erish in a year, though, so you have that to look forward to at least. But that's the end. Those are basically all my thoughts, though. I know I didn't cover all the characters and my impressions of them in this review. Wakchan was all right. The Dino Brothers were cool. The King of Dinos, aka the other Tezcatlipoca, was okay. Iskali was all right. Not much to say about those characters. They unfortunately just didn't leave any lasting large impact on me, but they all fulfilled their respective roles in the story, I suppose. But those are all my thoughts. Yeah. Camazotz did not want to fight Ort again. Bro was traumatized, huh? I did hear from someone that I thought was cool during the fight with Camazotz specifically. He has some dialogue that makes a lot more sense in retrospect. One of them specifically is he has like a line where he says like, aim for one spot, aim for one spot, aim for one spot, and that's like literally how he defeated Ort. Because like he was aiming for one spot over and over and over again until he ripped into Ort's skin and ripped out its heart, right? And so a lot of his dialogue, there's a lot of things about Camazotz that make much more sense because you only find out about his backstory really until after you reach the Tree of Emptiness and Ort's coffin or whatever. Dramalogue also gets a lot of fans thanks to her Valentine scene and her Bond CE. Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into those later then for sure. I have Dramalogue now, and so I'll be able to see her Valentine's Day CE next year. Anyways, that's all my thoughts, though. Is there anything else we want to discuss, chat? And if you're watching on the YouTube VOD, feel free to comment anything. I'm very open to my own critiquing my own view on all this, and I'm open to conversation for sure. Just don't. My rule is don't be an asshole. Critique openly, open critique everywhere. Just don't be an asshole about it. But I'm definitely fine if people disagree with my my views. I understand that my critique and perspective on things might be much more unique to me than anyone else. But yeah, Lostbelt 7 was good. There were things I liked about it a lot. There were things I disliked about it a lot. But ultimately, I'm still looking forward to seeing how this all goes down, I guess. Wakchan, my forever rival, because of fucking... my forever rival because of Animosphere. Oh, and I didn't mention it, but yeah, Camazot said hot take, but LB7 has got the best music in all of FGO. LB6 is probably my favorite. LB6 is my favorite everything, man. It was literally like, there are some things you can nitpick about that story, but it was like nearly perfect. Like there's not much I can critique. There are some things I can critique about LB6, but not much. That shit was lightning in a bottle for me. It was nearly perfect. LB6 is probably my favorite in terms of music, but LB7 I'd say is a close second. There's some really good music, really good tracks in LB7. I like it a lot. What would be an overall rating? I don't know if I want to do an overall rating. I mean, it was good, like, because there's things I critique about LB6, I don't even know if I can say LB6 is perfect, but if LB6 is like the best, and I say LB6 is like a 5 out of 5, I'd say LB7's right under that, a 4 out of 5. Same with Olympus and shit. Olympus and Atlantis might be a 5 out of 5 for me too, though. I don't know. My main critique, if it wasn't clear after reading out all my thoughts and my review of LB7, my main critique was I felt like a lot of characters could have had a lot more characterization and a lot more time in the oven. Like, there are some aspects of LB7 in a way that feel rushed because of that. Like, I feel like their endings and their wrap-up as characters could have been a lot better. But then the grand story itself, like, there are, like, I said it at the beginning of this review, but we got just more context to the questions that I wanted answered, and like we got none of them answered. Like, all the questions I had going into LB7 that I wanted answered for like the finale of the Cosmos and the Lostbelt, even though I knew there was going to be more story after Cosmos and the Lostbelt, because I didn't know what Ordeal Call was, but I knew there was more story after Lostbelt 7. So I figured we weren't going to get all the questions answered, but the fact that we got none of them answered and just more context kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. You glaze LB6, I'll glaze LB7. Hey, and that's fine. Like, I want, like, there are people out there that said LB7's better than LB6, and I think that's fine. Like, everyone's open to everyone's entitled to their own opinion, for sure. Yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say, though. YouTube VOD watchers definitely let me know what you think, whether you agree, disagree with anything I have to say. But I think it's time for, do you guys want to do the concert first or the Dramalogue? I feel like with this OST going in the background, we should do the concert first and then the Dramalogue. We all know LB2 is the better Lostbelt, yeah. The first couple Lostbelts are decent, like, they're good starters to get you into the story. Like, I think that's why we all like Lostbelt 1, right? Like, it's a really good, strong first chapter to get you into the story. And LB2 had its moments, but yeah, it's definitely one of the weaker ones. Music first? Yeah, I'm thinking we do music first. All right, it is time. Now that the review and thoughts are over, like I said, I'm hesitant to call it even a review because I feel like I could have went way more deeper. Like, I could have wrote way more than that. So I literally wrote all this up in a morning, so it wasn't even that deep. But this is more so like my Lostbelt 7 final and initial thoughts, right? But we can call it a review regardless. Those are my final and initial thoughts. I think I said everything I wanted to say. Now let's get into the playlist I have here. And we'll start off with the concert. Where is the concert? Spartacus. LB3, LB3's up. I think LB3, if we, like, I hold LB5, LB6, and LB7 up on pedestals because, like, Nasu did a lot of the writing for them. I know LB5 was, like, another writer, but Nasu colluded with them a lot on LB5, I think. If we're gonna compare LB1, LB2, LB3, and LB4 with each other, I think LB3 might be my favorite, even though it's the shortest, just because I love that the concept of that Lostbelt and like what it was going for, what its goals by the finality of this perfect humanity that just felt really wrong to us, and how its king, Qin Shi Huang, like the final confrontation with Qin Shi Huang, because he thought he was like, no. He was so in denial of like, no, how could my timeline be pruned? This is perfect. Like, he was like, we have literally come to the end of humanity, that this is the end. This is the perfect system. Nothing could be better than my world that I have created. How could that possibly have been pruned? And then he comes down from his he comes down in a humanoid form and he's like, if talking is out of the question, then I will come down there and punch you myself. And I give you permission to punch me back if words will not work. It's so fucking good. I love LB3 just for the climax alone. And then Shin gets hit by the computer virus. Yeah, the fucking phone. He physically cannot comprehend the concept of a phone and everyone having access to the internet, because like that level of individuality is like incomprehensible to him. It's so good. All right, without further ado, though, let's get into the concert. I'm really excited for this. I didn't even know there was a concert until someone in my chat during LB7, I think, mentioned it. But here's the concert, and it's only 13 minutes long, so they don't do every song, I assume. But here we go. This is the FGO 9th Anniversary Live LB7. Full show. Here we go. Hopefully this doesn't get copyrighted. Where are my subtitles? I assume... Yeah, there's no subtitles on this video. Pause track. The Ort soundtrack. Oh shit. I like how they get the credits too, that's cool. Oh, the violinist, let's go! Is that the same violinist from the LB6 one? She went crazy in the LB6 concert. It's the map theme. Oh shit. Oh my god, I love that on violin. Oh, the battle theme? Yeah! I love the battle theme and how Camazot's theme was a remix of the battle theme. It's so good. I lost my mind when I realized that in the boss fight. Motif. I love that motif. It's so good. Oh, and this is Camazot, and they bring in the choir for it. Oh, cinema. Oh. Oh, it's beautiful. I see the mural, his mural in the background too, as it shifted tones. That's so good. Oh shit. The other Ort theme. Ort has woke. One radiant thing. Ort. Ereshkigal. What is this one? What's this OST? Oh, the UFO? Oh, okay. That one had some crazy vocals in it too, didn't it? Maybe that's why I didn't recognize it. I remember having insane vocals towards the beginning. UF Ort. Ort has 4 different themes? Holy shit. go, Tepu! Aww. Is this the final fight with Orc? In its servant form, I think, right? When Orc took off the kitty gloves. Or they have the colors changing in the background too. That was something I really liked about how in the fight, when that motherfucker, every time we broke a bar, it would do a skill that would match the one of the eras of the Lostbelt, the Mictlān's history, right? And like when it did the Age of Darkness when the sun went out, it literally went to sleep. That was fucking great. Orc said, I ain't hear no bell. And then Cuckoo came in. Anuma Ailish, that thing. Oh, is this the Tezcatlipoca fight? Lock in. How are they gonna do this without a fucking classical guitar? They're gonna do it on electric guitar, I assume. Is this the Tezcatlipoca fight? Wait, what is this one? Oh, it is, yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. I don't know. I think I prefer the classical. Ooh, look at the images in the background, though. I don't know if I like it on the electric guitar. It's cool, though. If you listen to the vocals, you can hear them say Aristotle's, which is another name for Ultimate One/Types. Ooh. I like the violin, though. The Tezcatlipoca theme's so good. The vocals. The dark sun. Nasu plays Dark Souls, right? Like that, I think that's been stated in interviews that like he took a break at one point to play Elden Ring, and like he's a big fan of Dark Souls. Like, is Tezcatlipoca's area in that underworld where we first arrive in with the fog and the bonfire and the fucking dark sun in the sky? Is that not super fucking like Dark Souls-esque? Like, that's gotta be inspired by Dark Souls. This whole area, it's crazy. Yay! Claps, chat. The spawn camp when the MC dies. Yeah, that whole area is very Dark Souls reminiscent. Oh, that was it. Yay! That was really good. Hell yeah. Oh! David. I don't know what you're saying.
Mictlān を終わらせはしたが、滅ぼしてはいない。覚えておけ。終わりはない。失われるものはあっても、この星の誰もが役目を終えても、未来はいつまでも続いていくのさ。
All right. What else we got on the playlist? What else were we gonna do? Oh, the now we gotta do the Dramalogues, and then we'll watch the rest of the videos in this playlist. So let me pull that up. Apparently these Dramalogues got done like rather recently because there's no video on YouTube with the subtitles. Like I had to get this from a viewer in chat that had a fucking a goddamn torrent file of the Dramalogue with the subtitles embedded in the video itself. All right, but here is the Lostbelt 7 Dramalogue. It is definitely not as long. How long was the Lostbelt 6 one? The Lostbelt 6 Dramalogue, and for those who don't know, I think I said it earlier, Dramalogue, because I didn't know what it meant at first, is just the certain hype scenes from the story that they have the voice actors voice act. And so that's what this is. But the Lostbelt 6 one was like an hour and a half, wasn't it? It was like 2 hours or something. It was close to 2 hours. This Lostbelt 7 one's only 30 minutes long, so definitely not as long. But here's the Lostbelt 7 Dramalogue. Here we go. And I'm gonna open my Pocky. Normal Pocky today. We had so much peak.
何事かと思えば貴様たちか。自分
One sec. Let me make sure the subtitles are on. Because they're embedded in the video file itself, which is weird. There we go. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Should be subtitles now though.
何事かと思えば貴様たちか。自分たちからやってくるとかバカなの？
Oh shit, the very beginning. It was 3 hours? Are you kidding me? Wait. The LB6 Dramalogue was 2 hours and 52 minutes? Are you serious? I thought it was like not even 2 hours. That's insane, dude. What the fuck? They released these recollection movies a few months ago, back to back with Ordeal Calls. Gotcha. Okay. And then the LB6 ones were pretty late too, because I think I remember the LB6 ones like came out around the time LB7 did. Or so it was one of the anniversaries actually, wasn't it? I'm not sure. She do be laughing. And then our Excalibur beam did nothing. Because she's not a threat to the planet. And then Cuckoo came. Are we gonna see the LECE CG?
なんでこんな場所でこんな話してるのよ。こうして出会った以上、私たちは友達よ。不本意だけど、そういうわけで、はい、私に地球を案内して。あなたたちを異性間アンバサダーに任命します。どうしよう、こ の大統領全然話が通じないよ。マスターが目覚めた時、そこにいたのはマリーンさんと記憶をなくしたユーオルガマリーさんでした。そして私たちは合流。不時着したストームボーダーの元へと向かうべく冥界を突破していきます。
ようこそサルドン。冥界港に挑む者たちよ、覚えたたえる時だ。死の運び手にして冥界の王、聖者の首を狩る翼、カマソスその異名をな。いでよ黒きそちなど、戒めの霊樹に応えよ。
Squawk! Yo! Dino Brothers. This was the scene I hated.
捕まっちゃった。私は平気です、マスター。まだ戦えます。だからどうか。うん、だよね。ダメ、やめて。僕が人質になるわけないのにね。代わりはたくさんいるし、楽しかったけどあんまり役に立てなかったし、悔しかったけどたくさん思い出は作れたし、他には、そうだ、これでも水兵だし、自分の仕事はちゃんとしなきゃ。仲間だもんね。というわけで日記まーす。チャオー。何度も守ってくれてありがとう、大統領。そんなに私を信用していいの？自分の名前しかわからない生き物なのよ。だからだよ。自分の名前しかわからないのに僕を助けてくれたじゃん。自分だけ苦労するのはすっごく嫌だけど、できること、やるべきことから逃げ出さない。僕そういう人好き。かっこいい。ユウのそういうところ見習っちゃう。成長できない僕たちだけどね。
ユチャン。
僕はこの先お荷物になっちゃうかもだけど、みんなの足だけは引っ張らないから、その時は応援してね、オルガマリー。望み通り私の手で殺してやる。
Olga angry.
謝罪するわ。星を滑る者らしからぬ姿を見せて。さよなら、泣き虫のマリーン。ほんと弱いなんてとんでもない。とても強い心を持っていた、ただ一人のサーバント。
冥界の番人に任せよ。いや、任すほかないと言い直そう。
八熱地獄、獣王代行、明け随長、ベニエンマである。
Big Benny!
罪人たちがこの法廷に何用か。おとなしく刑を受けよ。それすらできぬというのなら。 岩の上にも一概念。御仏より賜りし我が絶剣。13500金の。
I hope they have the Koyanskaya scene in here. I actually only found out after we finished LB7 that Koyanskaya, when she was giving Benny Enma, they had a youth potion, right? Was it the potion of Gilgamesh, right? The youth potion of Gilgamesh we got, I think. That's what we gave her, right? To turn her back into normal Benny Enma. When Koyanskaya was going to give it to her, she gave it to her via the potion of youth. Yeah, Koyanskaya gave it to her via mouth to mouth. I did not know that. The French kiss. Because I saw the kiss animation, but my ass thought that she was like, for whatever reason, the way that visualized in my mind was she like ran up and made her swallow it and then like gave her a kiss on the cheek or something like that. There was not enough context for me to realize that she straight up bird fed the bird, bro. She gave that potion to Benny Enma mouth via mouth to mouth. That shit went right over my head. I didn't realize that, but I wonder if they're gonna have that in here. If you have Koi on Dark, Benny's constantly running from her. Oh no.
ではあなたに代わって針の隙間を通しましょう。
Uh-oh.
ああ、やったー。ではでは遠慮なくいただきます。
変態
That's so good.
せっかく敵の本丸まで攻め込んだんだ。ここで帰るのはもったいない。どうせなら弾を取っていけよ。
Uh-oh.
私
霊樹をもって命じよう。その力を使え。黒きテスカトリポか。
絶滅を見せてやろう。交代の時だ。素晴らしき戦士たちを。
これがあなたの目的なのですか、デイビッドさん。あなたは完全に人類を滅ぼそうとしている。それは
No different from the alien god who would erase human history, and that's when she realized too what she was.
最大限の危険勧告です。来ます。オルトです。
Monka.
しっかりなさい。いつもの判断力はどうしたの？こんなの戦って勝てるわけがないでしょ。私たちも撤退よ。オルトによる滅亡の日の未来をガラガラ乗り越えましたが、ユーオルガマリーさんは私たちの元から去ってしまったのでした。
我こそ残酷、残忍、陰頭な冥界の真の女神。
Can I get an Irish lick in chat? Yeah, there we go.
なんか緊張感薄い。私の名乗りが聞こえなかったとか。そっか。もう一度名乗ってやろう。恐れ、そして敬うがいい。いでよ、回廊教教天命神殿。
I like how they have the sprites fly
足
off.
だけならグガランナ1体分のコストで何脚も刺激できるわ。
Oh my god.
さすが歴戦のマスター。そ れじゃあ私も気兼ねなく。反人類史の女神に敬意を表して本来のスタイルで戦いましょう。ククルカン本気パンチ。
That's just one punch, man. Holy shit, though. I love Rin's VA.
信じられぬというのな。その身をもって教えてやろう。
私が裏切るべきものは分かっています。同時にこの世界に捧げるものを。
やめろやめろやめろ。核も激しく核も悲しい女よ。これ以上お前の人生を焼き尽くすな。
何もかも忘れることで、何一つ自分に与えないことで、あなたはこれまで生き続けた。自らに死ねないという永劫の罰を与え
た。この上なく愚かな。カマソッソにそんな感情はない。カーン王国、その市民が自ら捧げた王の体だ。俺の戦いには一片の開墾もあってはならない。
では私も捧げましょう。これより我は天空神の化身にあらず、復讐を認め神罰を下す冥府の神、その権限、女王ニトクリス、その異例である。契約により第四冥界は我が庭になった。あらゆる忘却を禁じる。戦いだ、コウモリの王。罰から逃れ続けた不死の戦士。
We actually fucking we actually beat Kamazot by making him remember his PTSD. That's crazy. God, he's such a cool character though. I'm really disappointed we didn't get more of him. I hate to keep harping on that, but the reveal here and like the reveal later on with the mural of how he was created is so fucking cool.
その償いにふさわしい結末を与えよう。
俺の名を語るがいい。カーンの勇者、雲殺しの公務、王冠を捨てしよう。臣民すべてを生贄にしなければ世界も救えなかった弱き者。試すがいい。カマソッソの鮮血を。カーンの民が身を投げた縛りはその恐怖の真髄よな。10万年間、そうしてカーンは成長した。10万年かけて哺乳類から始まり人になった。10万年分の夢がこの体を作り上げた。戦士たちよ、市民たちよ、命を捧げるほどの王だったのか、家族を捧げるほどの国だったのか。であれば、であるのならば。しかし思い出せるとはいいことだ。なるほど、永劫とはいかないが過ぎた後も生き続けるとはこういうことか。
Sag. Yeah, if they ever make him a servant, because I think there was an interview where Nasu, or maybe it was Takeuchi, I think it was Takeuchi actually, says that if there's any, they were talking about NPCs that were in stories that aren't servants, and who they, Nasu and Takeuchi, would want to see as servants made manifest in the actual playable in the game. And I think Takeuchi said Camazot is at the top of his list, if I'm not mistaken, right? It could have been Nasu as well, but I'm almost certain, I think I remember reading that Takeuchi said Camazot is like at the top of his list to be playable. If they ever, I kind of hope that they're not. Agravane and Sita are in shambles. Poor Agravane. I know the Gouda NPCs are crazy. There's a long list of those. He's the most wanted playable NPC in popularity vote too. I know some of you guys in chat and people have been saying they want him as the anniversary servant. I hope they bring him in an event somehow, because at least then he gets more story, right? I guess he could be in a story still if he's in the anniversary event somehow, but like I hope that they make him an event servant, because at least then we get more story. You know what I mean? Like I would love for a Camazot event. Like make an entire event story around this man becoming playable. You know what I mean? Like every Gouda gets 3 extra NPC servants. That's true. Yeah. Camazot's dope though. I do hope he becomes playable. They can do Summer LB7 surely. Summer Camazot? What? Oh fuck. Who knows? Y'all think they'll make him a beast now that beasts are playable? Maybe. Summer in ancient Mexico. Beach bat. Yes. All right. Oh, she's so awkward. Because we're friends, Ritsuka says. No voice for Ritsuka. They just skipped over to Lilacs battle. Hopefully they get her going out. That was definitely her best scene. Oh shit. This scene was sick.
最後まで偽装できたことが不思議だった。その理由が分かったよ、オルガマリー所長。君は弱いままの自分がいいと思ったんだね。その状態であれば、彼らと共にいてもいいはずだと。なんとも愚かな夢だ。
Oh, hey, there he goes. Bye. POV, you brought 6 servants. Shut up! Watch on, no! No voice for Wakchon. Her dialogue here saying, I screamed out over and over again that I was human, I was one of you, no one listened to me. Obviously, people have put together that this is her somehow being, like, linked up with Subject E, right? However, I went back and watched the Lost Room OVA, right? The Moonlight Lost Room OVA. In that OVA, because so much shit is like, yeah, you could watch that shit so many times, and like as you go through Cosmos and the Lostbelt, more and more stuff gets revealed that makes certain things that make no sense previously make more sense with context now that you rewatch it. There is a scene in Moonlight Lost Room's OVA where it's very gross. Without context, it's very gross, and I always kind of skipped over the scene before because I didn't like it, but it's very kind of gross, touchy-feely of Yulga Mary's naked body being felt up by all these hands coming out and like feeling her up as her body is basically nude, right? And all these hands coming out of seemingly nowhere and grabbing onto her. And it's very gross, not a fan of it. But now with this context, it makes sense why that scene is there. It is her being operated on, because there's two images specifically. It's one of her naked body, essentially all these hands coming down and grabbing onto her. And then it shows it from her POV, and it's her looking up at these silhouettes. There's a bright light, almost like operating, like an operating table light, a bright light behind these silhouetted figures, and all these silhouetted figures are looking down at her. I'm like 100% certain she is experiencing what Subject E did. Either she is Subject E, because like it would make the current theory. We just don't understand how this links up with the fucking twig. How this links up with the twig, what's his name, Blue Book, and the body shaped nerves and brain that were on the ground inside Area 51. We don't know how all this links up, but seemingly we can assume that when Lev back in Fiyuki Singularity 1 threw Olga Mary into Chaldeus itself, the burning Chaldeus, when he threw her into there, seemingly it sent Olga to this other Earth 100 years in the future, Chaldeus, right? When she landed on that Earth, even though she looked humanoid, they could somehow determine that she was not of this Earth. She was from not this planet. She might look human, but she's not from this planet. They were somehow able to determine that. So they distinguished that she was an alien, and then spent 100 years torturing her and operating on her for the foreign god, the alien god, to come in and intervene and bleach Chaldeus, right? That's assuming what we have to go on right now. That's what happened, right? But yeah, now that with that context in mind, you can go back and watch the Moonlight Lost Room, and that scene makes a lot more sense now.
なのにどうして私がこんなに優しくされるはず。
Oh, and it's revealed at the end when Rasputin is talking about when Rasputin's talking to the Chaldean, and he says to the Chaldean, when Rasputin's talking to the Chaldean, and the Chaldean says, "Oh, so there were actually 7 disciples of the foreign god." You had the 3 that we knew about, which were Murama, and they all had their own goals too. There were three foreign disciples were created to aid the Cryptors, and 3 foreign disciples were made to aid Chaldea, and then the final 7th one was Olga Mary, that was supposed to lead all of them. But with that information, it was revealed that Olga Mary is a servant, meaning that she is dead, and she was summoned as a ghost liner, right? If I'm not mistaken. Like, she is a servant. If I'm not mistaken. Like, we were kind of confused as to how she was created, but which means she's gonna be playable. But yeah, the three that we knew about that aided the Cryptors were, and they were all made with specific goals in mind. I don't know what the fuck Ashia Doman was made for. Somehow to just like antagonize and fuck with the Cryptors, maybe, and push them to do certain goals. Ashia Doman was a weird one. Muramasa was specifically summoned to cut down Atlas. He was specifically created with as the alter ego with certain elements in mind to be able to kill Atlas and cut down Atlas to be able to allow the foreign god to manifest. And then the last one was Rasputin, who is just there to aid the foreign god and be the foreign god's guide once they descend. And then the 3 on our side were Holmes was supposed to aid Chaldea up to a certain point, and once that certain point was crossed, Ruler Moriarty was summoned to put a stop to Holmes. So Holmes was summoned just to get us so far, because we were supposed to, I think the plan was to let Chaldea destroy all the Lost Belts, right? But once we got to a certain point, that was supposed to go away, and so that's why they got rid of Holmes. And so Holmes was supposed to aid us until a certain point, and then Ruler Moriarty got rid of him, and then the last one that was supposed to aid Chaldea, they only describe as the Count. The only Count I can think of is the Count of Monte Cristo, and that would kind of make sense, since he's also been around since the end of part 1, right? Which is around the time Holmes showed up as well, right? And so it would make sense that they've both been around for that long. And the Count of Monte Cristo, I would assume, is another foreign disciple that's supposed to have been aiding us this whole time. And obviously, I know in one of the OCs we get Mega, another 5-star Count of Monte Cristo too. I don't want any context on why he's there or what's going on in the story. We'll understand next year when we get to that story. But I've heard that OC2 is really good. I've heard people say that that's a good story, and so I'm excited to get there and see what it's all about. I like counting. This is before America. Dante's has been around since the prison event, which was before America even. Okay. Long time then, huh? Dante's was originally hired by Gaetiano? Was he? I don't know that context. I did do the prison event too. I just don't remember it a whole lot. Came out between London and America. Okay. Interesting. He was the first Avenger too, right? Because I think when you summon Jalter, she's got a My Room line where she says, "That guy, he's my senpai." Because I think he was the first Avenger, and I think Jalter was the second. I just remember that there's the Jalter line of "He's my senpai," the first playable Avenger. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I wanted to mention the information about Olga Mary, because I don't think I mentioned that in my review, and that's some really important information going forward that we got. Again, no direct answers to what the fuck's going on, but we have more context, and so we can start theorizing, really, but that's about it. Funny thing is, no one has ever seen him aside from Ritsuka. Yeah, because he's like our memory, our mind. He lives inside our mind and only shows up when he's protecting us from mental attacks, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's now chilling as our illusion defense, yeah. Angra's the original. Oh, that line's about Angra, apparently. That makes more sense, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Hi.
南極にあるあなたの星に帰る時です。
I love Kirei's voice actor.
ここで地球人類の最後を見とる気はない。上に向かう。友をしろ。
そして復活したオルトを止めるべく壮絶な戦いが始まります。
We didn't get any context or answers to what the fuck its like reality marble really was. Like other than like it was for battle effects for sure, right? Like its reality marble gave it certain effects in battle, but like when it like what was the point of it turning every single tree in Mictlān into a tree of fantasy or a tree of emptiness? Like that part's still lost on me. The fuck was all that about? Like when that happened, I was like, huh? What are the implications of what that means? Bro just hates trees to feed on it, I guess. I don't know. That's so weird. I think anything that touches Ort becomes part of Ort, and Ort is the tree of fantasy, so it just sort of extrapolates. Ort was turned into the tree. No, I get that. No, I get why it happened. I was like, what are the implications of that? Because we don't even know what a tree of emptiness really is, where it comes from, or like what. I understand what they do. They pin the texture of a Lostbelt into the blank earth, the bleached earth, and they simulate a history from a point in time that would have diverged into a lost timeline, a lost belt, a point in time in which humanity would have stopped progressing, right? That's what a lost belt is. What the trees ultimately do, I have no idea. The most mature one we saw was Lostbelt 5, and that shit literally didn't even resemble a tree it fully expanded, letting out the galaxy inside of it into the sky above. And what does that mean? What the fuck on a cosmic... Are we not supposed to understand it? Is it just supposed to be some cosmic horror shit that is beyond our comprehension? What the fuck is that? And if every single tree in Mictlān turned into one of those, what are the implications of that? That's why I was like losing my mind when that happened. I don't think there's a purpose. It's just doing it 'cause. The trees are a foundation of human history, but doesn't know how to progress. The Lostbelts have all had a lot of focus on space. Maybe there are portals to different galaxies or something. Considering the fact that Ort is an alien life form, it might just be a normal tree in outer space. I don't know. Bro. Hoping Fate Samurai Remnant event explains it? What? Is Fate Samurai Remnant connected to the main story? That'd be crazy. He was absorbing the tree's energy since it was established that trees form a network. Yes. That I understand. So was that it? He was just the summoning all the... You could have just done that with... You could have had the same effect then with any other reality marble. It was just blowing my mind with the Tree of Emptiness. Like, I understand the reality marble was supposed to be an effect to make it stronger. Like, it was supposed to be a, like, holy shit, it's deploying a reality marble. Now it's, like, that motherfucker already had a home field advantage. Now he has a home field advantage, right? But just turning every tree in Mictlān into a Tree of Emptiness, like, blew my mind. I was like, what are the fucking implications of what that means? And, Da Vinci even had a dialogue line that we never came back to, unfortunately, but Da Vinci even had a dialogue line where she mentions, even if we take care of Ort, it is not certain that we will be able to get rid of Mictlān because these trees of emptiness will still be holding down the Lostbelt, right? And in my mind, I was like, but if we get rid of Ort, wouldn't that get rid of the reality marble too? Because in my mind, reality marbles would dissipate if you get rid of their owner, right? If you get rid of the person that deployed the reality marble itself should dissipate too. But the way Da Vinci worded what she was saying made it sound like even if we got rid of Ort, the reality marble would still be deployed, which was confusing to me. But we never came back to it, and it doesn't matter. Lostbelt dissipated anyway, but it's the Abundus. Oops, messed that up. It's been really freaking weird. FSR is Fiyuki. Strange Fake is Fiyuki gated, but it's explicitly post LB7 spoilers. Oh, really? Okay, interesting. Okay, well, don't tell me anything about it. That's interesting, though. I don't know anything about future story content. That's kind of a rule in my community. I know about future JP units that are coming out. I don't know anything story context-wise, so I didn't know that. The event had story stuff. That's interesting though. Let Max cook. Yeah, I'm excited for the Samurai Remnant event even more now though. I'm very excited. Samurai Remnant was a banger game, so I'm definitely excited for the collab. The year of collabs next year. Oh boy, I gotta fucking finish Tsukihime and Witch on the Holy Night before next year for sure, so I can play those collabs and understand everything. Because as I understand, the Witch on the Holy Night collab event is like Witch on the Holy Night 2. Someone said that it's like a continuance of the story, and so I definitely got to read Witch on the Holy Night before that. All right, without further ado, let's keep going.
ここを最終防衛ラインとする。
とどめは私が刺すわ。見なさい、堂々たる異様。
おお、エレシキガル、エレシキガル。控えめにて天才では。
Ort! All I hear is Rin.
誰が勝利の女神なのか教えてあげる。
Goddess of Victory.
鎌倉だから絶対 私たちが勝つんだから。
Go, 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 go,
よ
go.
かった。
Oh.
正直不安だったけど成し遂げたのね、私たち。
Bye,
目を閉じる
Resh.
前に
See you
伝
next
言が
summer.
あればどうぞ。
ドゥムジ、気づいてたの？あなた。
あなたはよくやりました、エレシキガル。シュメルの神々の代表として恥じるところは一つもありません。
Yo, if Nikkei does a collab with Fate, I might have to pick it up.
メヒコシティ全域から膨大な魔力量を検知。これは心霊級の霊気反応です。
ほんと。
Oh, please tell me we get a
それ。
voiced version of the Dramalogue
ここで
scene.
死んでも救い出す神はいない。
Holy shit, though.
なら私が
They're gonna have Rhino servants on the collab.
じゃない。
Oh!
おめてを取る承認心臓都市
Go, Delilah, go!
このクッソ侵略者。
Yo!
それ以上私の町に踏み入れな。我が名はテノチティトラン。戦士たちを祀る壮麗なる水の都。死してなおよみがえるアステカ世界の心臓なり。
Mexico City. Mech.
じゃあね、私の町、
Aw.
私の民。
This shit gotta get an anime, bro.
おせっかいなにとクリス。都市に芽生えた夢はここまで。
Aw.
ハチドリは落ちて月の湖に帰りましょう。とてもじゃないけど見てられないわ。
I love the
同
background.
感でち。ベニも覚悟が決まりました。我らの役目は木を待ち作ること。ええ、無差別召喚なんてバカな真似、あれ以上させたくないけど仕方ない。冥界の万人の意地見せてあげます。シリアルファンタズム展開。私の指は世界を囲う。入会攪拌。超高濃度エーテルリキッド放水。
Yo! Holy S tier voice acting, bro.
今よ、やってベニエンマ。承知。見事なるプロテア。泰山明道岩盤おろし。銀河の雷雲晴らして候。
Cinema.
疲れた。ここで退去していいのでちか。無敵の私のこんな姿を見たらますます落ち込むでしょ。あの無理やりな笑顔は嫌だからここで自分から聞い
I
てや
know,
る
no
の。
chirp, what the hell?
後腐れなくて最高でしょ。ではベニもそのようにここで手を振ってみなちゃんを見送りまちゅ。
Oh, the dinos! My dinos rage! My dinos scream! My dinos fight!
では。
待ってください。
This was the scene that I kind of critiqued. And maybe, let me explain here. Maybe you guys can understand why I critiqued this scene in particular. This scene felt like it was saying to me a lot of the things that we had already addressed in LB5 in particular. And so maybe that's why they used MASH for this scene in particular, because maybe she still had some thoughts on it, but I felt like as an audience, we had already covered that, like, there were some of these Lostbelts had better versions of humanity in them, or better, like, idealistic ways a society could be run, but ultimately, because they stopped progressing, that's why they were pruned. And it feels like that's what was being described here, because MASH was like, why go? Why go? You guys, the dinos, are like what we humans should be striving for. And he kind of turns around and Tepu says, like, no, like, you guys, even though I love the line, though, I do love the line where he says, even though I was your guide to this Lostbelt, you were truly the ones that showed me a new world. And I love that line, but, I don't know. I didn't really like this goodbye that much, just because I felt like it was us going over things that we had already addressed in previous Lostbelts. But anyways, that's what was going through my mind when this scene happened. But we'll play it again here and see if I think anything differently afterwards.
親しい人の死と見知らぬ人の死、どちらも平等に扱わなくてはいけないものです。なのに私はあの時。
マッシュ、差はあるのです。できてしまうものなのです。命は同じではありません。あなたはあなたに近しい人の不幸を遠い人の不幸より悲しんでいいのです。あなたたちは自身につながるもの、自身を輝かせるものを求めた。それゆえに人類は繁栄した。だからどうか自分たちの世界を、行動を悪しきものだと背負わないように。言ったでしょ、すべてのディノスはあなたたちを応援している。恨むことも妬むこともないと。
それははい
人間は正解を選べません。その時における最良の選択をしても必ず後になってもっといい方法があったことを知るからです。知性体である以上、絶対的な正解は訪れない。人間の答えは常に間違いなのだから。それをディノスたちは知らなかった。知ることができなかった。ですが今、やっと間違いを選択できた。6600万年かけてあなたたちと同じ空を目指す人類になったのです。
同じだなんて、私たちが皆さんを目指すべきなのに。
今までありがとう、マッシュ。洞窟で出会った時、武器を構えず真っ先に挨拶をしてくれたあなたが私は大好きですよ。
私こそ丁寧なお辞儀を返していただき嬉しかった。さようならテペウさん、私たちを導いてくれてありがとうございました。
Oh, say the line. Say the line. No, you're gonna end it there? No, he says right after that, even though I was your guide, you were the ones that showed me a better, or a new world, right? I love that shit. Yeah, my critique of that scene in particular, I think, is more so that it's MASH, because I don't disagree. I understand it, and I don't disagree with anything Tepu's saying in particular. It was more so that it was MASH having that conversation, if that makes sense. Because I thought, from a character writing perspective, I feel like we had already crossed that line, and already crossed that part in the story where we're supposed to realize, like, why the Lostbelts are pruned. And even though, yeah, I'm just going over what I already said, but I think it's more so that it's MASH that's having that conversation. I don't know. And again, regardless, like, I really wish we would have gotten a final scene, like a CG, and like some monologue of Tepu using his Mystic Eyes of Death Perception against Ort. That would have been fucking sick. Like, I really wish we would have got something like that, but yeah. And there it is, the Mystic Eyes sound effect. Fucking thing curved the bullet.
一つ提案があるのだが、いかがかな諸君。一世の神はカルデアと。
This was also a weird thing too, because I went back and watched this whole scene, the final scene against Ort, because it's so fucking good. I love this scene so much. Like when it summons its servant form, we defeat it, and then it summons its servant form is crazy. This scene in particular, they describe it as they describe it as theoretically going faster than light itself. And that's why we literally stop time, right? That's how they described it. Why does Ort seemingly have like the ability to do anything except that? Like, it kind of seemed like I don't know. Ort was said to be like an alien from another, from the Ort cloud that like seemingly can do fucking anything, but I guess it couldn't adapt to this shit. It was like a Maharaga ace up our sleeve to fucking defeat Maharaga. I understand now. Made in heaven moment. Yeah, this was I don't know. It kind of went over my head there. I didn't question it at the time, but it does seem kind of, or it doesn't seem bullshit, but it seems weird to me that like Ort didn't have, Ort has the ability to like combat anything and adapt to any situation, but like this was something that it couldn't. Maybe it's because it's like theoretically something that can't exist. Like going faster than light is conceptually something that shouldn't be possible. But like the fact that they do it here maybe is why we're able to beat it. I don't know. Not the Ort fraud allegations. Ort is a fraud. Motherfucker couldn't even adapt to going faster than light itself. Fraud. Can't adapt if you're too fast for it, I guess. There we go. I like that explanation.
共闘しても良いと仰せです。では、誠意とともに行動を示されますよう、勇敢なる若者たちに神のご加護を。
Kezuke, where's the Maharaga emote?
最後までその色でしょ？あなたたちは。
There we go.
せっかくだから地球人類の道具を使ってやる。
This scene was sick. When I saw this CG in the background, I thought it was the blade of Excalibur, straight up. Like, if you go back and watch my reaction to this scene, I thought this, like, it kind of looks like a blade, doesn't it, in the background? Like, I thought it was the close-up of a blade. My ass thought she was literally conceptually, like, wielding the blade of Excalibur to fucking fight this thing. I was about to lose my fucking mind if that's what happened. But she just fired the beam using up all of her energy on the Stormborder. But I would have lost my mind if she fucking wielded fucking Excalibur in that moment. Just metaphysically, conceptually fucking forms it out of thin air. Oh my god, I would have lost it. She is her. Our tsundere director.
それでいいか。私は約束を守りに来ただけだし。あなたは相手が怪物だからという理由で排斥することをしなかった。すっごくめんどくさい方針だけど、これからも大切にしなさい。あともう一つ。ね、オルガマリーって誰？私カルデアの所長だったの？
Yeah, you were a bit awkward, but you were an excellent director.
そっか。それはいい夢ね。本当うまくやれていればよかったけど。
Where have I heard that before? That sounds like a nice dream. Was that in the... I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. Was that in the Lost Room OVA? Where have I heard that sounds like a nice dream? I feel like it was in the Lost Room OVA because I just rewatched that. Or maybe it was somewhere else. Huh. I swear I've heard that sounds like a nice dream somewhere else recently. So, the sacred sword vanquished the foreign invader once again. Cinema.
やりました。さすがです、オロガマリーさん。
My ass deadass thought this was the end here. I thought we were gonna fight Cuckoo at the end. And then this motherfucker summons itself.
嘘です。やっと出会えて、話し合えて、笑い合えたのに。
Aww. That's new dialogue.
先輩。
Yeah, but she saved the Earth, just like she promised. Goosebumps.
召喚。
Cuckoo! Okay, I'm here!
よし、間に合った。遅れに遅れてごめんなさい。あ、そうじゃなくて、威厳威厳。そこまでだ。虚空より
Cease
呼ばれ
thou
し
being called from the
ここ
void!
から
God, I love her.
私の本当の仕事です。今こそ我が身を太陽に返して恩義を打つ。青函高校エンジン起動。オルトを倒す者は
Someone commented on my VOD, on my part 7 VOD for Lostbelt 7, the finale. They were like, "Are you telling me that you, Olga Mary, died simply because Cuckoo was watching from the sidelines?" I will never forgive her. Oh my god.
オルトのみ。この惑星に我らが食らうものはない。 私はククルカン。この世界の太陽だったもの。世界を作り滅ぼした神。その役目を果たした以上、最後の時まで闇に没していく樹海を見守りたいと思います。どうか可能な限り育ち。
I'm kind of bummed we didn't get a final like expedition piece of or exposition piece of Cuckoo. I guess like no one was alive left in Mictlān, but I always really liked the final moments shown, and I guess we got it with the Dinochus brothers playing Shakta. And I saw someone else mention, I thought it was Cinema too. They were like, it's so fitting that the South American Lostbelt ends with a game of soccer. And I was like, oh, that is good. I didn't really realize it at the time, but yeah, because soccer is such a big part of Central American, South American culture, I thought that was pretty fitting as well. But I really like the final moments of a Lostbelt when like the characters are just kind of like chilling around as the world gets fucking returned to atoms, returned to nothingness, returned to just another thing that might have happened, another possibility. I can't really remember. Or no, Lostbelt 1 ended with the piano, remember? The guy, I can't remember his name. The guy playing the piano for the locals, right? Lostbelt 2 ended with Gerda was her name? Gerda Hop. Soccer is crazy. Football, my bad, dude. Yeah, the Gerda Hop. Lostbelt 3 was Qin Wong hanging around with his subjects, staring up at the sky as the fucking sky dissipates. How did Lostbelt 4 end? Salieri is his name, yeah. The hop, the step, and then the never landing. Yeah, that shit always hits hard. Asha crying in bed. Yeah, she has the fucking photo of all of her family members that disappeared. Oh my god, that shit hit hard too. Yeah, I forgot about that CG. Lostbelt 5 ends with Canis and fucking Kishtaria cut in half as Canis is holding Kishtaria's fucking top half of his body as they both stare up at the sky as the Lostbelt dissipates. How did Lostbelt 6? So much shit happened in Lostbelt 6's finale. I'm forgetting. Was it just Oberon falling, I think? Was Lostbelt 6? Yeah, it was Oberon falling, okay. Oberon falling, staring up at the sky and reminiscing and saying, oh, so this is proper human history, I think he says something along those lines. What, Lostbelt 7 kind of just ended with the, was it the game of football? Aurora looking up at Melusine too, yeah. We didn't really get anything like that, or at least not from. I kind of wish we would have gotten a moment like that with Cuckoo, but she said she reminisces on it right here that I want to spend the last moments on Mictlān hanging out, but we never get like a CG or anything of it.
可能な限り遠くへその道行きが多くの幸福のもとにあるようにそれが私たちの夢でした遥かな昔も遥かな今も生命の気候はどこまでも遠大に黄金に輝いて続くのです
Oh shit! Lock in! I love this
これは
shit.
真実ミクトランを滅ぼす戦いだ夜明けの太陽我がナウイオリンをもってミクトランの物語は幕を閉じるその覚悟を示すがいい生と死を己の手で選び取る
Oh, that makes sense, yeah. In LB7, we don't get to see the end because we're busy fighting David and Tez again. Gotcha. Well, I mean, you could have still shown the scene though. I don't know. There's a lot of like I mentioned this not to reiterate it again, but like my two main critiques with LB7 were not enough questions that I had going into the Lostbelt got answered, and I felt like there was a lot of things towards the end that should have been wrapped up nicer. Like I feel like Lostbelt 7's end, or a lot of the character endings in particular, could have used just a little bit more time in the oven. Like I would have loved a finale CG for a lot of the character arcs. Wanted more exposition, exactly. Like I feel like just one final little piece or monologue from a lot of the characters to finish off their character arcs would have done nicely. That's like all I really wanted. Those were my main critiques of the Lostbelt.
君は世界を救う。俺は宇宙を救う。構えろ。これが最後だ。
I can't believe after all this time, like David really challenged us one last time and was like, if I win, I get a do-over. Bro was like, if I win, I get to summon or I get to fucking activate Ord again. God damn it, bro. That's crazy. Everyone but the no, you misunderstand me, Kamazad. I meant like to finish up there. I didn't mean at the end of the Lostbelt. I meant for the character arcs in particular, like Tepu's like finale and him going against the Tepu's finale and going against the UFO saucer and even the dinos. Like there's some really good fan art that Bakuhatsu posted in my Discord that I can probably pull up if you guys really want me to, of or I'm gonna pull it up anyway just to show you. Like I feel like a CG of those would have been fucking sick. Let me see if I can find it. But Bakuhatsu posted a an image of the dinos like going into battle, and like if we would have had a CG like this, I feel like it would have, with like a monologue, I would have enjoyed it, their finale like a lot more. Here it is. God, this art is so sick. I love this art so much. Let me close that so I don't fucking... Open this in a new tab. Open this in a new tab. Where's the, I know they did one of, literally, this artist drew one of, Teppu, like, literally using the sub... Remember we gave Teppu a submachine gun? The artist did some art of Teppu, like, literally using the SMG and, firing, like, essentially the same thing as the Black Barrel. Where is it? And I'll link all these in the description for VOD watchers as well. I try to always credit artists when I can. 'Cause artists are awesome and I appreciate fan art for sure. Where the fuck is it? I can't find it. I know Bakuhatsu posted it too. Oh, here it is. Copy link. All right, all of these are done by the same artist, but here they are. So this is the dinos like literally riding into battle. Look at the fucking like the blood coming out of fucking what's his name? Vakub's eyes there as he's like literally got a smile on his face, screeching. Look at all of them going crazy, bro. Straight up, my soldiers rage, my soldiers scream, my soldiers fight. It's so fucking good. Like I would have loved a CG to go along with that in their finale. And then here's we got a CG of her, so this one's not as prominent, but I just love it. I wanted to share this art too of Tlaloc with all the Osalome. It's pretty sick. And then here was the Teppu one. Like literally using the SMG we gave him as like a form of like the Black Barrel, Gun God's gun, right? All the guns from Koyon in the background. Yeah, it's so sick. Yeah. That's my critique. Like I'm saying, like I liked LB7. I just think it could have been better. Like that's where my critique comes in. I just think a lot of I like the character arcs, and I feel like that they just could have used a little something extra at the end to like make me go crazy over them, because like I felt like they needed like a CG like that would have been crazy at the end with like a monologue of like what's going through their head as they're rushing into battle. Would have been sick. All right, back to this though.
新しいカルデアとして古いカルデアと戦うとはね。ノウムカルデアか。いい名称だよ。
全てが滅びる戦いなんてものはない。お前さんもミクトランを終わらせはしたが滅ぼしてはいない。覚えておけ。終わりはない。失われるものはあってもこの星の誰もが役目を終えても未来はいつまでも続いていくのさ。
It's very reminiscent of Merlin's quote in my I have it in my bio on Discord, the Merlin quote that I love so much from Singularity. Again, going back to parallels with Singularity 7 here, but back in Singularity 7 Babylonia, Merlin has a quote where he says, "Humans are foolish. You are truly flawed creatures, but the history you create is beautiful. No matter what kind of end humanity faces, your history will be worth leaving in this universe." So good. All the guns from Koyana and they still don't worship her for the guns. Yeah, I like that little bit of dialogue. All right, that was it. Yay, claps, chat, claps. That was really good. Yeah, like I said, this isn't online, unfortunately. I literally had to fucking... Hopefully I don't get marked for copyright or anything if it's not on YouTube at all yet. But, this video is, something I had to torrent from, one of my viewers, Bakuhatsu, after I finished it, sent me the torrent file for it, that someone, like, literally put the subtitles in here, and they're, like, embedded in the file itself. And so, it's hard to like actually share this around if people wanted to see it, but yeah, you're just gonna have to look it up, and or hopefully it gets added to like the English Aniplex USA account at some point, right, for everyone to watch. It's really good though. I like that. Thanks for sharing, Bakuhatsu. I definitely wouldn't have known about it if you didn't tell me. I didn't even know there was a concert until someone mentioned it. All right, now it's time for the video playlist. Oh boy, I got some memes here I wanted to share first that I thought were funny. I kept saying the "My dinos rage, my dinos scream, my dinos fight," right? There's like someone actually made that meme. This is good.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
我々はここで死に次の聖者に意味を託す。それこそ唯一この残酷な世界に抗う術なのだ。兵士を怒れ、兵士を叫べ、兵士を戦え。
Amazing. This is that again, and then there was one more meme. The FG. This is what I saw. I think this is the thumbnail I saw way back when LB7 aired. It's FGO Lostbelt in 60 seconds, and the thumbnail is literally a dinosaur holding a sniper rifle. And I was like, "What the fuck is LB7? What do you mean? There's a dino holding a fucking gun." I thought the enemies were gonna be that. Like I thought like the basic enemies we fight in Lostbelt 7 going into it. I thought the basic enemies were literally going to be dinosaurs holding assault rifles. I was like, "What the fuck? This shit's gonna be weird." I ended up loving them though. Alright. Huge FGO Lostbelt 7 spoiler warning. Also, epilepsy warning. Flashing lights, so be prepared for that. But this is Lostbelt 7 in 60 seconds. You gotta pause a lot for this one? Okay. Brazil. Let's play it first and then we'll go back. What? Mana transfer. The fucking dino scheme. Oh my god.
Nano machine, son.
Bro. True. All right. Reaction overload. Trade offer. I receive your command spells. You receive mushroom. What? Angry Olga. Dino. Scary. Shiki Dino. Kamazot. What is this? MASH dinosaur history. Yes, I love this. Dino soccer. Oh, I forgot about that scene with the fucking... I forgot about this. What the fuck? With the fucking Miss Taiga dino. I forgot about that completely. He wants to marry her. Eh? What is this one? The fucking damn. Oh. What? What is the suck? I don't get it. The T and T-Rex is for Taiga. One up life. Manair. Manair's alive. Oh, he gives him the one up. Fucking mouth to mouth. Mexico? The David around the corner, what the fuck? Yeah, and then Cuckoo picked up the storm border. And then we fixed it. Watermelon. What is the obsidian blocks? Oh, that's right, we needed obsidian or some shit. Something from some materials from the earth, and that's right, she went and got the rocks, and Birdie was not happy about it, I don't think. And then Cuckoo slapped her, yeah. I remember all this. And then Wakchan got turned down. Batman appears. Meet the spy, Wakchan. Or not Wakchan, Buckhub. Oh my god, she ate the corn. But I'm the Lostbelt King, and you're my enemy. That's the best part. Mana transfer. Why is Mash CL here? I guess just because they're done by the same artist and they both have glasses. And the bangs, the hairstyle's similar, I guess. And then we got the backstory. Oh my god, the backstory of how fucking Camazot beat Ort here. Oh, is that? Oh, okay. Is Dino Arc telling us the story of how Camazot beat Ort? Bro ripped out his heart. Shut down. And Cuckoo was born. Mordred and Vakub, they're the same. How dare? How dare? No, I don't accept that for a second. How dare? What the fuck is that? What is this? What? I don't understand this one. Like, the dinos got massacred by the Osalome at one point. I remember that. Killing the younglings? Traitors? I don't remember this. I don't know what this is referencing. Is it just that when the Osalome came to the city and killed him? CL was often called Blue Mash. It was when Chichen Itza was attacked. Yeah, that's what I figured as well. What the fuck? Why is it Ritsuka and... Why is it male Ritsuka on female Ritsuka's body? What the fuck? What is that? Y'all see that? That's female Ritsuka's sprite, but with male Ritsuka's head. What the fuck? The backstory.
Nanomachine, son.
Fucking Fortnite down to sound effects. Emergency. What is the Kuritsugu? What? The dino. Miko when she armed them all. Cuckoo slap Ort. Try again. Sag. Alright. Interesting. What else we got in here? Should we watch the trailers now? I think it's trailer time. Yeah, let's watch the trailers. This was the initial trailer. And I gotta say, this shit hyped the fuck out of me. Like, I don't think I've ever, never in my mind would I ever have seen a trailer for a visual novel that would have hyped me up the way this trailer did. This trailer hyped me up so much for LB7. It's really well done.
言っておくが、君たちに残された時間はあまりにも少ない。
退避中のスタッフに伝達。これより地表、いや、地表に空いた空間に向かい、胴体着陸を敢行する。衝撃に備えよう。
佐藤、やばいことになってないか？嘘だろ。
キャプテンネモに残った魔力は全て着陸成功のために使用する。
見ている暇があるなら走れ。待て、おい。
何としてもスタッフの命は守る。着陸後の君たちの健闘を祈る。
何事かと思えば貴様たちか。自分たちからやってくるとかバカなの
？It's such a sick title.
なんだ、新入りか。座れよ。疲れているんだろう。
Cinema.
9つの層で分かたれし地底世界。神話がここで生まれる。お前たちの旅もここまでだ。今まで見逃されていたなどと思っていた。違うな。少し忘れていただけだ。フェイト、グランドオーダー、黄金樹海機構、ナウイミクトラン、開幕。表に出てくるがいい、人類ども。
9つの層で分かたれし地底世界。カルデアのオーダーはここで終わる。フェイト、グランドオーダー、コスモス・イン・ザ・ロストベルト、黄金樹海。
God damn it, they used this fucking song. These are definitely all going to be copyrighted because of the music they use in these trailers. God damn it. I guess I'll play them anyway, but I might have to cut them out of the YouTube VOD. Just so YouTube VOD watchers know, this music by Maya Sakamoto, even though it's the opening for the game, and like Samurai Remnant, for example, Samurai Remnant's anime opening, that song and that anime opening is not copyrighted because they understood it was part of the game's soundtrack, and so they don't copyright the song. All the Fate Grand Order song openings, unfortunately, are copyrighted by Maya Sakamoto. I don't know why that is. It's pretty dumb that they're copyrighted, but they are. I've been hit with a copyright strike by them by a few times now, and so probably gonna have to cut out these trailers, but we're gonna watch them on stream anyway. So come back in a few minutes, YouTube VOD watchers, or I'll cut it out.
9つの層で分かたれし地底世界。カルデアのオーダーはここで終わる。フェイト、グランドオーダー、コスモス・イン・ザ・ロストベルト、黄金樹海機構、ナウイ・ミクトラン。人類の敵として真実を伝えよう。
I will reveal the truth.
9つの層で分かたれし地底世界。
He said, I will reveal the truth, and at the end they had like the planet fucking getting consumed by Ort there. That's cool. I haven't seen any of these trailers before, by the way. This is my first time seeing them because I usually stick away from these trailers because they have spoilers in them.
9つの層で分かたれし地底世界。神話がここで生まれる。フェイト、グランドオーダー、コスモス・イン・ザ・ロストベルト、黄金樹海機構、ナウイ・ミクトラン。表に出てくるがいい、人類ども。
立ちはだかるあまたの困難と危機、世界に背負う信念を超え、ここまで歩んできました。未来に打ち勝ちましょう。
I gotta read all these. Lostbelt 1. I am the one who bears this world on his shoulders. Ivan the Terrible. Shutner. I will show you my flaming sword. Chinshi Wong. Come at us with all your might, members of humanity's masses. Fuck, what's your name? Arjuna Alter. For I am a god. Atlantis, I will use all that I must to secure victory. Zeus, I am the one who shall save Earth. Fucking... Ashiadomen, right you are. Morgan, I would give up my dream, my Britain. Fucking Ruler Moriarty, that the moment you stood before me, you had already lost.
Ohayo, Shokun. Nani ka o komari kana?
The priest jump scare. All right, and then this was the these are the part 2 trailers right here that we're gonna watch now.
私はこの異文体の創造主、作り出したものとして担うべき責務があります。樹海よ、羅針を照らせ。
Bare body.
視点は得られず、共に生きる同胞なれば。我、恐怖の地をも打ち倒さん。フェイトグランドオーダー、黄金樹海機構、ナウイミクトラ、太陽は再び世界を照らす。
止めたければ実力で止めろ。構えろ。これが最後だ。フェイトグランドオーダー、コスモス・イン・ザ・ロストベルト、黄金樹海機構、ナウイミクトラ。物語なき世界に神が生まれる。
Ooh. I like that final saying. A god will be born in a world without tail. Cuckoo.
俺の名を語るがいい。死の源泉にして冥界の王、カマソッソとな。フェイトグランドオーダー、コスモス・イン・ザ・ロストベルト、黄金樹海機構、ナウイ・ミクトラン。試すがいい、その恐怖の真髄を。
遥かな昔も遥かな今も生命の機構は黄金に輝いて続くのです。フェイトグランドオーダー、コスモス・イン・ザ・ロストベルト、黄金樹海機構、ナウイ・ミクトラン。太陽は再び世界を照らす。英霊たちと乗り越えたあまたの困難、託された。
Oh, this was a PV. Lostbelt number 7.
英霊たちと
We have overcome so many trials and crises with heroic spirits. You are human, but I know you have the strength you need to fulfill your duty. The rest is up to you. Keep moving. God, I love this. I love this Napoleon scene. Yeah, my goat. Where are these Spartacus emotes in chat? Put them in chat right now. I can feel the power of our bond flowing within me. My goat. I, for one, am grateful that neither of us are gods. We have been entrusted with hope, and we have come this far. I hereby release its power so that I may protect my friend! My best friend, though! Ah, Musashi, this battle is what my heavenly eye was made for. The Setsu Armor Kumano is here! Let's take back the future, Master. Ah, LB6. That's the only part of myself I believe in. Dude, the way I have watched this scene, Castoria's Avalon scene, and the scene against Kernanos here are so beautifully written. Like the words Nasu uses for their monologues and just the narration are fucking beautiful, man. Like that's why this shit lives rent-free. That's why LB6 lives rent-free in my head. Like holy fucking shit, the writing. Not just like what is happening in the scene, but the way this motherfucker wrote the narration and the monologue in their heads and the words he uses are fucking poetic and beautiful. What some of my favorites are like the narration for like when she's activating the spears here, say something along the lines of like, the curse is coming, the curse is coming. Its arms are stretching up from the pit at speeds akin to lightning. When she activates all the spears, every cell in her body is burning as if the very universe itself has been set aflame. Like, those words are fucking insane, bro. I could never put words like that together. Now that I think about it, Kernanos and Ort are almost the same. In what context? Wait, what do you mean? They were both like huge things we had to take care of. We had to take off a layer of its skin just to beat them. When Mike said "da binky," I felt that shit. God damn it. And then the scene, oh my god, the way she says when she fires all the Rongominiads at Cernunnos and it doesn't do shit, and she kind of falls down, and the narration says if the court fairies would have been here, they would have laughed. They would have said something akin to how even the great High Queen Morgan's own weaponry couldn't kill a god. And then I think it says something along the lines of like, but her mind wasn't focused on that at the moment. She wasn't mad at the fairies. She wasn't mad at Cernunnos. She was mad at herself for still holding back, for still holding on to the possibility of going home. She swallows up the blood she had coughed up and focuses her now useless eyes. Oh, like, oh my god, the wording is so fucking good. I don't know how that motherfucker writes like that, but that's just peak. The thing that lives rent-free in my head is that after everything Morgan went through and did, she gave it her all up for the one person that truly thanked her. Yeah, and then and I love how, because like, there's so much about this Lostbelt, I could fucking go on and on and on and on, and even though I tried to, I don't think, like, there were some disagreements on like how I viewed Morgan, but there's no doubt in my mind she was a beautifully and excellently written character. Like, even though I didn't like her as a ruler or as a person, that doesn't mean I don't like how she was written, if that makes sense. Like, she was a beautifully written antagonist in the story of Lostbelt 6. And the farewell that I love that Castoria gives is she says something, I think it's written like, she says something along the lines of like, and I fire this, like I'm giving up myself to as a thank you, not to High Queen Morgan, but to the incredible savior she once was. She says something along the lines of that, and I fucking love that shit. Yeah, I was trying to think of what else word. I've watched this scene so many times that like I can probably quote it verbatim, but I'm trying to think of anything else that was like beautifully written in that scene. There's so much. The whole thing is fucking good, but yeah. All I know is that I want to win. That's the only part of myself I believe in. Oh, when she says like, don't you dare wish you had any more time left. You have only made it this far because your comrade gave up his life so you could make it this far. Oh, it's so good. So good. Don't you dare wish you had any time left. Oh. God, I love Castoria. Might be like my favorite iteration of Artoria for sure. Like I remember reading. You could go back and watch my read through of when I read notes. I also read Garden of Avalon, and Garden of Avalon like details the backstory of Nasuverse's version of Artoria, and I teared up at one point in that story when I realized the tragedy of King Arthur in Nasuverse terms, right? And I was tearing up because she says to Merlin, when she's going off to fight the Saxons and leaving the kingdom behind, and that's when all the knights turn on each other when she leaves, right? And she turns to Morgan when she's getting on the boat and says, you know, after everything, I think I can finally say, I think I love you. And Merlin is like taken aback by these words, and Merlin himself starts crying because he realizes, and this is when I start tearing up myself too, because I realize what the true tragedy of Artoria is, and it's that she can't even she doesn't even know the meaning of the word love. She says she loves Morgan, but she's using the word love as a form of the highest form of respect in her brain, because when she says I think I love you to Merlin, she doesn't mean love as the concept as we understand it. She thinks it means like a version of respect. And so because she was never able to live like any form of a normal life, she was never able to even fully comprehend what the word love even means. And that was like how I understood the tragedy of King Arthur, right? So fucking good though. But even after reading that, like I think Castoria and like her whole destiny and the monologue and the conversation she has at Avalon and her whole journey to get there, and then getting an extra bit of time to be able to come back to the throne and have this final face-off against Cernunnos. Chef's kiss. So fucking good.
Master.
Charlie, then behold my sacred sword, my light, my noble phantasm.
グランドオーダー。私はククルカ。
Oh my cuckoo ass. Wait. Oh!
私
Looking? Nice.
私はククルカン。しっかりついてきてくださいね。
This is the Tezcatlipoca servant introduction. Just as life, tools of warfare should mature too.
Woo!
Woo! This brother. Did it glitch out when it showed his class? What was that? It was like a glitch effect. Oh no.
Woo! 災難災難ドレスせなようお疲れさたまには俺らしいことも
Yeah, and so there was like Kezuke mentioned it at one point, but there was some controversy when his servant came out about like people not liking his art style or some shit. I love it. The one of the main reasons you as an FGO player, like anyone as an FGO player, should like FGO is the diversity of artists, right? I definitely don't have anything against his art style. I think it's unique and cool, and I like how different all of his ascensions are. They're all very unique and different. Tez is always a bad shot.
語る語る弱り語るギトラカワ滅亡の時だ
Oh, and Andy has different noble phantasms, I just realized too, huh? Because his final ascension has that fucking fifth sun animation, right? God, he's so cool. His ascension 2 and 3 look very funny. I dig them. I like them a lot.
次の世界へ行けとなるテペヨロと
To Lilac, let the blood run crimson for the rain god. Wait, what the fuck? The mecha's in the first ascension?
心臓都市起動我がアルタール我がカットーラ我が愛しきトラマカスキ今度こそ私は失わない
What were JP players thinking when they saw that shit? What the fuck? Cuckoo! We're enemies even though we're born of the same planet. Looks like we have to fight then. I'm kind of bummed Quetz never showed up in the Lostbelt. I was kind of like hoping that we'd get to see Quetz and Cuckoo have some kind of dialogue together at some point, but it never happened. Like I wasn't hoping for like a big exposition or anything, but you know how like at the end of LB6, like we had all the Knights of the Round Table showed up to back up MASH against I wanted to say Babonsi. That's the archer. What's her name? the saber? We have too many Tezcatlipokas in this Lostbelt. Yeah, what the fuck? We have multiple Tezcatlipokas. Yeah, Bargus, sorry. When Bargus' monstrous form shows up and MASH gets all of the Knights of the Round Table to back her up, like I was hoping for a moment like that where like Quetz just shows up for like one node to help out or something. And like she gets to have a little bit of back and forth with Cuckoo. That's what I was hoping for, but we didn't get anything like that, unfortunately. But I got to see them in the future. I hope they interact in an event or something. If both of them showed up, Tez would have gotten a heart attack. That's the point of Tezca, though. Yeah, Tezuka was like a bunch of different fucking aspects. He was weird. I still don't like fully comprehend all that. Like why there was a split up. It was something with the summoning, wasn't it? They mentioned it at one point, but it went right over my head why there's like it was confusing me because they were also grooming Izcali to be the next Tezcatlipoca, which I understand was the thing with the cultural significance of grooming him to be the next thing that was like worshipped as the god, just like the vessels in their culture used to be worshipped as gods for the deities. Because I think to activate Ort's core, he needed a divine Ort needed a divine soul to go into it, or a divine body to go into it that would have a direct order in its head that was free of any kind of contradiction to be able to give it an order, right? And they were gonna use Izcali, and then they ended up using David as plan B, which is why he had the heart of the foreign god inside of him, because that was supposed to be the divine core, right? Any questions about Tezuka are answered in the lore video? Okay.
樹海よ羅針を照らせ同じ視点は得られずとも共に生きる同胞なれば我恐怖の血をも打ち倒さん
Oh shit, the costume for King Protea.
何を見ているの
The tongue out.
逃げ回ればいいそう見てしまいそれで
Tiamat moment.
各できてほらああもう勝てるわないでしょどこまでプロテアの花は成長する命の海に沈みなさいアイラーバタキングサイズ
Areshka goal!
丸かじり私だって楽しいじゃない懲罰開始ヒューヒューどう怖い黒焦げになりたいようね天に絶海地に監獄我がかかとこそ冥府の怒りイデオ発熱神殿反省するのだわ食いつきがるイルカルラ
Okay, we're back to this. All right, what else do we have? Now I think we can watch the fan animations I had for us. All right, so this is actually not a fan animation. This was the Fate Grand Order Chinese community had this special animation that I think some of you have probably already seen because it's kind of old at this point. This was almost a year ago now, but I've already watched this and I thought it was really fucking good, but I wanted to share it because I thought it was so good. This is Fate Grand Order China 8th Anniversary Special PV. And it goes through all the Lostbelts right here. And I love how they use the Chinese instruments for it. Yeah, the Chinese remix is really good. Lostbelt 1. Lostbelt 2. I love the art style too. Lostbelt 3. Lostbelt 4. We got our Juna altar with the planets rotating around him. That's so sick. Yo, Atlantis. Orion might go! Shoot down the moon! Olympus. Kishtaria. Oh, Lostbelt 6. The Oberon in the background there. Lostbelt 7. Everything we've been through. Look at all the different Lostbelts in the logo too. God, that looks so sick. Cinema. Yeah, that shit's sick. This was re-uploaded by someone too. Like, this was a Chinese exclusive animation that they did for their 8th anniversary. It's so fucking good. Very cool. That'll be in the description again for any VOD watchers that want to check it out. I'm definitely linking all these videos in the description for you to check out if you wish to in your own time. But now, so the rest is all going to be fan animations. Some of these might be copyrighted for YouTube. And if they have copyrighted music or copyrighted, maybe the video itself is copyrighted, I will be cutting them out. And so if there's cuts here and there, just know I'll still link all the videos we watched in the description below. But if anything is copyrighted, I am going to have to cut it out of the YouTube VOD. Just so you guys know, if there's any cuts here and there, that's why. But we're going to continue on watching with some fan animations. I've already seen all these, but I saw them after Lostbelt 7 and wanted to share them. So here we go. Because of course, FGO cannot be that happy. Pain. Finn, end. It was all a dream. It was cute though, I liked it. All right. Do we want to chat? Do you guys want to watch these lore videos? I might watch them in my own time just because of how long they are, to be honest. These are fucking long. Crazy Yuri, I have seen some of their videos before. They're pretty good. Imagine if that was Oberon that threw us in the sleep. That was the dream. This is a Kezuke, what's MMD? Your ass taught me about AMVs. Is MMD something similar? What the fuck is MMD? Miku? What? This is an unvoiced 3D animation, though, that goes over some of this, the final scene of us confronting Tezcatlipoca and David in the Death Realm, or in the Underworld Realm. It's like 3D model animations. Gotcha. Okay. This is right after we defeated Hort with Cuckoo, and we black out. At the end of Lostbelt 7. Dej. Bro was just waiting. I forgot what they said here. This shit don't got subtitles either, huh? He was like, yeah, I still got your master authority. And then David said something along the lines of, you had that this whole time? Then it wasn't a fair fight. How about we duke it out right now, then? And you have your master authority back. Now you can fight as equals. That Emiya? Oh. Wait, canonical what I summoned? Jolter against the ruler? Actually me. That was cool. Instantly went for the class advantage, yeah. Fuck. That was a 120 Jolter for sure, canonical. Alright, hopefully that last one wasn't copyrighted, I'm not sure. VOD watchers, though, I might have had to cut some of the fan art music videos that were in here. I probably cut those out, but I think that's gonna have to do it for the stream. This one was definitely a lot shorter than the LB6 one. I went back and looked. The LB6 Final Thoughts stream was 8 hours long. I don't know what well, actually, it was probably because of the Dramalogue. The Dramalogue for LB7 was only 30 minutes. The Dramalogue for LB6 is 3 fucking hours, which is fucking insane to me. Holy shit, it's insane. But, yeah, that's gonna have to do it for this stream. I think I got all of my thoughts out for LB7 at the beginning of this stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget the concert. We already did the concert. We watched the concert as well. Oh, was the LB6 concert like a lot longer? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's probably the case there. I could watch some of these lore videos, but I think I'm gonna watch them in my own time. I am hungry, so I want to kind of end stream and get on with it. But mainly, this is the final Lostbelt 7 Focused stream, and so I wanted to air out all my thoughts about it and let you guys know what I thought of it. I definitely enjoyed it, but had some critiques that I wanted to air out for you all, and maybe start some conversations in the comments as well, right? Let me get this amazing OST going as I end stream here, but yeah. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Love y'all. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to leave a thumbs up. Would greatly appreciate it. And a comment down below on what you thought of LB7. Let me know your guys' review, if you can summarize it in a few sentences. Let me know what you guys thought of LB7. If it was like, for some people it was their favorite Lostbelt, and I don't want to blame or like say anyone's wrong. Like art forms are absolutely a what's the phrasing I want to use here? Nasu said it was going to be a simple story. Yeah. Art forms are all open to your own interpretation, and like everyone's gonna have a different view on it, right? And so like I don't blame anyone for like I don't care if Lostbelt 2 or Lostbelt 4, even though I think those were the weakest Lostbelts. I still enjoyed them, but I don't blame anyone for thinking those were like the best Lostbelts. You can think whatever you want. I will fight you on if anyone says that. What's that, what's the second pseudo-singularity? Agartha, yeah. Me and Kesuke thought the same thing. If anyone says Agartha was their favorite story, I'm gonna fucking say you're fucking wrong on that. But any other story, or maybe the earlier singularities as well. But 6, 7, Solomon, the pseudo-singularities were all pretty good except for Agartha. We don't talk about Agartha. And then all of the Lostbelts were amazing as well. What do you mean it was peak? Goo goo gaga. All right. Thanks for hanging though, everybody. If, like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like, thumbs up, and a comment down below. Comments and likes really help out. Really help. Comments, likes, and watch time all help push this video out in the algorithm to other viewers to watch. And so if you enjoyed the video, I would greatly appreciate it. That's a free way you can support me in the channel and my content. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. Twitch viewers, thank you all so much for hanging out. And yeah, I will have one more stream before a hiatus for a few weeks. We're doing a Honkai Star Rail stream tomorrow, and then I'll be going on a multi-week hiatus, and I will be back sometime in May or June, and then I'll be back on the Star Rail grind, and I will definitely also be streaming Ordeal Call 1 as soon as I can as well. I'm definitely planning on playing that before Anniversary in this summer if I can get to it. So that's the plan. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye! Peace out. Have a good one, everybody.